Hi, hello, and welcome to the library. Um, Hopefully the sound is okay because I had like some updates on my computer and I think it has messed up a little bit with the audio setting, but hopefully it is working as intended. If not, this is terrible. I hope that you are doing very good today in this very, at least here, very warm, hot, unbearable afternoon. We are supposed to finish the third case of Trials of Innocence today because it has been sitting on the back burner for quite some time. We were playing it before my break. We were supposed to finish it last week, but we spent too much time yapping. Today, this should not be the case. Today, we should finish the case. Is there something interesting I want to talk about before we begin? I don't think so. There's still the ongoing situation with like Visa, MasterCard, and Stripe. We have talked about that, I think, enough on stream. Although like it is like an important situation and we should talk about it as much as possible, I guess. I have some news about like my 2.0 model. I've seen the final render of the model and it is looking extremely good. So I'm very eager to see more of it, although it's like in the rigging phase, so it will take some time. But that's basically it. Earlier today, I was doing some research, and it's very funny because I was starting to read like a manga from the 70s about like fishing in Japan, and I was like, oh, surely I can just easily read the first chapter to take some notes, and it will be good enough. The problem is that this particular like first chapter is like 200 pages long, and I did not have the courage, nor the strength, nor the time to read 200 pages to take some notes, especially when it's in Japanese. So that will have to wait for another time. Okay, but that's basically it. It's still like the heat wave here, which is not exactly the end of the heat wave, but I think it's like the peak of the heat wave, and the temperatures should go down in the next days. I think the heat wave is ending like on Wednesday, so we'll probably start streaming on Wednesday and Friday, and we'll skip Monday. I can also hear that the background music is the one that I have added before the stream yesterday. Like I finished the summer event for Genshin Impact. It was a bit weird because like we were quite, let's say, forced to finish it. Like the Genshin has this thing where like the events are very short in duration, and so this is the last week to finish the event, and this was quite packed. You had to do like quite a lot of things. But the event with Bennett was really, really, really good. I always feel like very vulnerable, sensible when it comes to parenthood storyline in Genshin, and it was like it was a very, very, very heartfelt moment. You can hear also that the music is because it was during a cutscene, this particular music, and like this is the moment in the cutscene where things are going like a bit like awry, I guess. But that was really, really good. I'm really happy with what they did here, and hopefully it's like we'll explore more of like the previous characters' backstories. In Nordcry, I mean. So yeah, I think it was nice. I think it was like long due, let's say, and in such a nice way. And we had like some teaser about like Marriage Ivari, but like probably, and that's what they said in the live stream, I think, like for this patch, that it's only the first part of like the Marriage Ivari storyline, and we'll have like more of it in the next patches, which is like kind of like obvious since we basically saw nothing of Marriage Ivari in this storyline, but okay. Anyway, let's go to the game screen, and hopefully it is working. I think it is. Okay, so without further ado, let's jump back into it. I won't explain like my reasoning for the case beforehand. I think like it will take too much time, so we'll kind of like go through that during like the gameplay. And yeah, normally I think we have like a very good understanding of what was happening. We just lack the exact culprit, to be fair. Like I was thinking about that before stream and I'm just not sure about who it is. But it should be enough to solve the case without too much problem. Okay, so let's continue. So this case will finally come to a conclusion today. I've got so much evidence in my hands, but I've never handled such a complex case alone before. Can I really handle it? I am a bit nervous. Annie, you're here. Yes, and you're frowning so tightly. Come on, smile, have a cup of hot tea and relax. With her around, it seems like nothing can make me nervous. By the way, I just saw the swordsman. Sword in grey. It makes sense that he would be called to testify. Yeah, I saw him walking in while waving his wooden sword. Isn't this considered a dangerous item? Why can he bring a sword in, but I cannot bring the verity lens? Well, look, Mr. Fire is here too. So our defendant. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Fire. You seem to be in a good mood today. Let me guess, you forced the guard at the detention center to change the channel to the TV series you're following yesterday. Are you a mind reader? It's just that you're too easy to figure out. Well, forget about that, Miss Lawyer. You should be fine for today's trial, right? Well, to be honest, while there's been some progress in the case, I'm even more unsure than yesterday, which is very weird because I think like the case is pretty like transparent, but... After all, the real culprit behind the director's murder is bound to be revealed in today's trial. The real culprit? Who could it be? Someone from our center? Well, she never even thought about it before. Well, forget it. By the way, will Remily White come in court today? Remily, the deputy director and that martial arts enthusiast, just escorted her inside. But it seems she doesn't need to testify today, so she'll probably just sit in the gallery. I see. During today's trial, it is inevitable that certain past events will be mentioned. Is it okay for Remily White to hear all of this? Again, very interesting, this theme of like, okay, we are trying to discover the truth, but again, to what extent can we reveal like private matters of, you know, other people's life? Anyway, the trial is about to begin. Please enter the courtroom promptly. Okay, let's go. Sure, believe in yourselves and you'll be fine. And I'm here to help you. Let's do this together. Oh, I'll have to drink a lot during this stream. Now the trial of Miss Zoe Sapphire continues. Why do both of you seem so solemn after the day of investigation? Are you ready? Well, the defense is ready. Since both the defense and the prosecution are ready, let us begin. Can his demeanor be called ready? The prosecution has a significant discovery to report. Well, tell us. Detective Sanford was supposed to report in, but she's not here, so I'll do it. The prosecution has discovered the truth behind this case and the murderer's method of killing. Interesting. Are they going for the truth immediately? The murderer's method was very clever and deceived everyone yesterday, including Detective Sanford and me. I think he is going like for the true like method, but he is pinning that on our defendant, our client, which makes sense since we don't have like any conclusive evidence that she is not guilty, to be fair. We don't have like our potential like suspect are probably like Simon Goldstein and the swordsman. I don't see sign being a culprit. But between the two, I don't think I can like decide who is a culprit. I think like you can decide on like psychological basis, maybe motive based, but it feels like a bit strange. Anyway, we initially thought the victim died from falling off a building, but that's not the case. The true cause of death was a fatal impact, so what we kind of like discussed before, I mean like during the investigation, commonly known as a crash. The victim crashed headfirst onto the wall of the electromagnetic lab. Okay, so they're immediately going for this, which is like kind of like the good way of writing it, I think, because it was so obvious. Crashing into the wall. Well, even though the explanation is straightforward, the judge is probably imagining a completely different picture. Well, I remember the forensics said yesterday that the force the victim endured was equivalent of falling from a 15 meters height. How could crashing onto a wall generate such great force? Did Director Crimson practice Iron Head technique? Well, if he did, he wouldn't have died. Well, that's because the wall is not an ordinary wall, but an electromagnetic one. We now officially propose a new claim. The electromagnetic lab on the 3rd floor of the research center is the primary crime scene. What? This is truly an unexpected and swift development. Defense, what's your take on it? Regarding the primary crime scene, we agree. Mr. Crimson originally planned to conduct biochemical tests that afternoon, so he wore metal protective gear against radiation. The victim intended to go on the 2nd floor biochemical laboratory but encountered a blackout while in the elevator. As a result, he mistakenly entered the electromagnetic laboratory on the 3rd floor. Although the metal detector was in the door frame of the electromagnetic laboratory, it didn't sound due to the blackout. So very interesting the way that it's kind of like a very cooperative approach to like seeking truth here, and nobody is losing time, which is like something that I enjoy. I was talking about that to other people, but like my issue with prosecutors in the Ace Attorney series, and not like the great Ace Attorney, but like the main series, is that the prosecution is always a bit like deluded. They like the truth is pretty obvious, but they try to pin the murder on the defendant, and to do that they sometimes like go for like a weird explanation. And it's very different to the great Ace Attorney, where it's way more like on point immediately. And I do enjoy like Trials of Innocence for going straight towards like what seems to be the truth, instead of like kind of like wasting time with like, you know, incorrect theories. But so it's rare for both sides to reach a consensus on this case. Again, we are commenting on things that the judge is commenting, so I haven't finished yet. After Director Crimson went to the wrong floor, the defendant turned on the breaker, activating the electromagnetic lab's power. The victim was instantly attracted to the electromagnetic wall and suffered a fatal impact. Wait! There were misunderstandings before leading the trial astray, but the one who ended Joseph Crimson's life is still unquestionably the defendant. Like, he is not wrong on a purely factual basis, but again, like for a murder to be considered as such, and for someone to be like guilty, you need some intent, right? And we're in a situation, this is not even like oblique intent. This is like, she just didn't know that like her action would cause the death of someone. So I didn't expect the true cause of death to be so bizarre. High technology is indeed a double-edged sword. So I guess the prosecution may be going for like Maybe the prosecution may be going for the like involuntarily manslaughtered angle here, which would be like the safest option, but like we are fighting for a non-guilty verdict. Until yesterday, the prosecution hadn't even figured out the cause of the victim's death, and yet they arrested the defendant. Are you still going to make such rash conclusions today? Whether it's rash or not shouldn't be for you to decide. The prosecution is fully prepared today to crush the defense's futile struggles with evidence and testimony. I mean, there's nothing to say, like, against him for now. Whether the preparation is adequate or not shouldn't be for you to decide. If you have witnesses, bring them forward. That's enough. How come you two start arguing again? Just seeing those dead fish eyes makes me walked up out of nowhere. Well, it seems both sides still cannot agree on the case. The court needs to conduct a more careful assessment. Prosecution, you have already overturned your investigation result once, so your statements today must be rigorous. Of course, the prosecution requests that the researcher, Swording Gray, appears in court. Confronting Mr. Gray from the beginning. Well, he was bound to come sooner or later. Let's hear what he has to say. Well, that's quite a uniquely dressed researcher. My respect to you, esteemed lords. No need for formalities. Rise. Well, the judge got into the role in a second. Well, witness, your name and occupation, please. I'm Swording Gray, a humble practitioner at the Crimson Ultra Realistic Robot Research Center. A practitioner? During my practice, I also serve as a researcher. I'm really going to question this weirdo later. Well, witness, were you present at the center on the day of the incident around the time of the blackout? Well, Sir Schubert's words are accurate. The prelude needs to be played more elegantly. Please testify about the blackout sequence. In terms of being in their own words, they are surprisingly similar. Since there are no objections from either side, witness, please start your testimony. Okay, let's focus a little bit. In the afternoon of that day, I was immersed in secluded training. Okay, we may press on that. At 2:30 PM, I sent a 1,000-mile message, summoning Lady Zoe to deliver experimental equipment for me. He was telling us that, like, the day of the investigation. Thereafter, I continued my training until 4:30 in the afternoon, when the blackout occurred. So we know that the blackout occurred at this time, right? It was... Where was it? Don't we have the time for the blackout? Oh, okay, yeah. So 4:28. Originally, I was indifferent, yet at the moment I suddenly received a letter from Director Crimson via carrier pigeon. Director Crimson seemed to be trapped in the elevator due to the blackout, so I asked him to wait patiently for a moment. Subsequently, I sent another message to Lady Zoe instructing her to turn on the circuit breaker and restore power. It's weird, no? So he was in the elevator. Oh no, the elevator still brings you to the 3rd floor, right? Because, like, the director had to pass through the metal detector before the alarm, before the power would be restored. Yet he was the one, like, making the call. Maybe he's lying on that, I don't know. Your praise is too kind, Your Excellency. I can't afford to be called that. It's better if you address me as judge. Understood, Your Excellency, Judge. Mr. Gray's words are a bit hard to understand. Well, although his language is even more cryptic than yesterday, most of what he says is already known to us. The prosecution still clings to the notion that Zoe Sapphire toggled the circuit breaker, aiming to once more cast blame on her. But she did turn on the circuit breaker, right? Well, indeed, to overturn the prosecution's accusation, we need more details. Yeah, there's no contradiction in here. We need to press to get more details and to uncover like a contradiction. So what were you doing here? What exactly do you mean by secluded training? Well, this is really putting me in a difficult position. Matters of training are highly confidential within each sect. Moreover, our sect holds many top-notch techniques, and it's even more imperative for us to adhere to the rules with integrity. The essence of a swordsman lies in good faith and integrity. A swordsman without good faith and integrity will be scorned by all. I absolutely refuse to become someone who abandons good faith and integrity, so I have to implore Lady Barrister not to insist. Well, I just want you to explain what secluded training is. Well, if I understand correctly, I believe Mr. Gray's meaning should be, I'm saying that all this because I don't want to tell you. Is that so? Okay, this is like something that we know, the message that he sent. Half past the second hour, what time is it? 2:30 in the afternoon. Is that so? You truly lack knowledge. Who in their right mind speaks like this? Well, Mr. Gray, or the experimental equipment you mentioned, the things on the trays in the electromagnetic and biochemical labs. Lady Assistant's words are accurate. Does the so-called 1,000-mile message mean telephone? Indeed, there are non-mainstream individuals like you who call it telephone. However, I believe a 1,000-mile message is more appropriate. A 1,000-mile message, though separate by 1,000 miles, conveys words and people's sentiments in an instant. I think you are the non-mainstream one. Well, witness, why did you ask the defendant to deliver the materials instead of doing it yourself? Well, the great hides in plain sight. A true swordsman does not easily emerge without a grand event in the martial world. Lady Zoe has just entered the arena and still needs more practice. This simple task is a great opportunity for her to make a name for herself. My intention was to mentor the younger generation. But you just find it troublesome. Okay, so it doesn't really help us. I continue my training. He will say nothing. 4:30, so like obviously 4:30 in the afternoon. I guess like the translation was trying its best here, but witness, from the start of your secluded training until 4:30, did anything strange happen? Even the smallest anomaly could be an important clue. If that's the case, there was indeed a minor strange incident. And what was it? Well, while I was meditating in the training room, I suddenly heard a scream from the center. That was Remily White, right? Exactly, I was meditating peacefully when I heard Lady Remilly's cry for help, so I hurried over. I intended to eliminate any threat to her, but it turned out to be just a mere rodent. So what we discussed, I think... Oh, we discarded it, but it's like the mouse robot or something. If there really was a threat, your wooden sword wouldn't have been able to eliminate it. The content of Miss White's diary, okay. This testimony should be fine. Could you describe the situation during the blackout? Originally, I was indifferent, okay, so, but like he said, he received a message, Cara Patron, what on earth is that? The victim contacted you using the internal line phone in the elevator, right? Indeed, Director Crimson dialed to the internal line phone on my desk. So the entire research center experienced a blackout, but the internal line phone was still functional. Circuits and phones are separate entities. It's fortunate they are, otherwise it would have been even more difficult for Director Crimson to escape. Was the emergency phone in the elevator directly connected to your office? Indeed. And when we were trapped in the elevator yesterday, we used the phone to call Mr. Gray. Yeah, true. Did the victim clearly inform you that he was trapped in the elevator? Yes, exactly. As far as I know, once the elevator loses power, it will activate the backup power supply and restore itself shortly after. We experienced it yesterday, yes. So what did you do after the victim called you? I was concerned about Director Crimson, so I went out to check and found that the blackout was due to a tripped circuit breaker. Then I returned to the training room, reassuring Director Crimson that the elevator would soon be back in service. Okay, but why wouldn't he so he would check like the breaker room and not like restore power? like you are getting suspicious with his behavior. So the defendant were to turn on the circuit breaker purely based on your instructions, right? That seems to be the case. At that time, the defendant didn't know that the victim had entered the electromagnetic lab wearing metal protective gear, right? Well, although I cannot be certain, the blackout was likely not caused by Lady Zoe. If you wish to blame her for using the circuit breaker to harm Dr. Crimson, I cannot agree with that. Interesting. That's the prosecution arguments, not mine. But rather than shifting blame on Zoe Sapphire, he's actually defending her. Because probably, if he is the culprit, that was never in his intention to pin the murder on her on basis of voluntary manslaughter. Let me confirm once again, the defendant's actions were simply following your orders, and then she went to turn on the circuit breaker to restore power. Is that correct? Exactly as you said. Defense, do you have any conclusions after all this questioning? Well, of course, although the testimony of Swording Grey doesn't contain much new information, I believe there's one thing beyond doubt. My client is completely innocent. Is that so? I haven't figured anything out yet. Well, Your Honor, the prosecution just confirmed that the victim did wear metal protective gear when entering the electromagnetic lab. Due to the sudden restoration of power, it was magnetically attracted to the electromagnetic wall and suffered a fatal impact. And the reason for the victim's confusion about the floor was due to an unexpected blackout. Whether the victim was wearing metal protective gear, whether he misjudged the floor and where he was when the power restored, these pieces of information were completely unpredictable for the defendant. Well, that makes sense. Well, it was Zoe Sapphire who turned on the circuit breaker, directly causing the electromagnetic wall to become electrified. But at that time, she had absolutely no knowledge of the consequences of her actions. The defendant was only following her superior's order to restore power with no intention of killing the victim. So we contend the defendant is completely innocent. Interesting that it's so early that we get this line of reasoning, which is I agree, but in the laws of many countries, including our own, whether it's intentional homicide or manslaughter, it requires the perpetrator to clearly foresee that their actions may result in the death of others. Yes, and turning on the circuit breaker itself is not a criminal action, nor does it cause death in common sense, which is different from involuntary manslaughter, in the sense that you were acting in a way that would you would be responsible for the action. For example, if you had a road accident and you would crash onto someone, this is involuntary manslaughter, but it is still manslaughter because you acted in a way, presumably, where you were responsible for the safety of other people. Which is, for example, if you are crashing into someone that is walking, because in most countries, the person walking has the less liability when it comes to accident. It's always the fault of the driver. And here, there's nothing that would even indicate that this particular action could be interpreted in a dangerous way, which would be deemed as an accident and not involuntary manslaughter, in my opinion. Well, in that case, although the death of the victim is regrettable, the defendant is indeed completely innocent. Okay, so what is his line of reasoning now? I understand the despair in the defense attorney's heart now, so thick that it seems to have turned into a mournful tremor. However, the attempt to confuse the facts in order to obtain an acquittal is despicable. Regarding the defense assertion that the defendant is completely innocent, the prosecution states that it's all overruled. Probably he will argue that it was all a setup and that she would have been asked to turn the power and kill the defendant. Basically, he is he will probably go for the line that it was premeditated. You said the defendant killed the victim unintentionally, that she was unaware of the consequences of turning on the breaker. I suggest you review the questioning and think carefully about what you have actually proven. I've proven that Director Crimson's death was actually an accident. Well, ridiculous. All you have proven are some facts known to everyone in court. On that day, the blackout occurred in the center, and as soon as the power was restored, the victim died in the electromagnetic lab. Who did the victim call during the blackout? Was that said on the call? Who entrusted the defendant to turn on the breaker? None of these matter. How can it be? Well, the prosecution believes the only thing that matters is that the one who physically turned on the breaker is the defendant. Joseph Crimson was the director of the center, while Zoe Sapphire was an intern responsible for miscellaneous tasks. She could not have been ignorant of the director's experimental schedule. The defendant could have learned of the victim's accidental entry into the electromagnetic lab during the blackout by some means, such as tracking or monitoring. Well, this is preposterous. Well, you know whether it's preposterous or not. The prosecution has proven the defendant's intention to kill the victim yesterday. There is no arguing about the motive for murder. If you insist that the director's death was accidental, then I must ask, after sustaining serious injuries, why did he suddenly climb onto a handcart and allow himself to be pushed away by the defendant? Okay, this is like the problem that we have, to be honest. The handcart is made of non-metal material, able to pass through the metal detector, and is large enough to carry a body. Even the means of transporting the body were prepared so meticulously, yet the defense insists that it was an accidental death. It's like mixing a screaming chicken into a grand symphony, only adding discordance. From motive to scene tampering coupled with a victim's death message, all current evidence implicates the defendant. Which is true. We still have the problem of like, why was he alive? We don't have, okay, why, after she saw the body, why did she choose like to put him on like a handcart? Why bring him in the second floor? And he was not dead. He was not dead because he was able to like write the name of the defendant that we know from our client. So it's pretty weird. The prosecution's evidence chain is already complete, yet the defense persists in its entanglement. You repeatedly claim that the defendant knew nothing about the consequences when she turned on the circuit breaker. I dare ask, do you have any evidence to support such baseless fabrications? I mean, to be fair, I think like we don't have to prove anything. Like the prosecution should be the one proving, but okay. Even though I don't understand what happened, Prosecutor Schubert's word seems to make sense. But the judge is leaning towards the prosecution again. The problem is that we don't have any evidence for what we are arguing. Do you have any evidence to prove that the defendant was unaware of the victim's condition when she turned on the breaker? We don't have anything. We don't have anything. Because I think she was just clueless, but like we can't prove that. There's no way to prove whether she knew or not. I thought we had the upper hand, but Prosecutor Schubert's sophistry changed the situation. Maybe we are rushing things a bit. The trial just started after all. Come to think of it, Annie's right, there's still plenty of mysteries to unravel in this case. Trying to get an acquittal before we pieced everything together seems a bit opportunistic. There's still too little information. I need to seize this opportunity to draw out Prosecutor Schubert's trump card. In fact, during yesterday's investigation, we found significant evidence in someone's room. Try requesting to question that person and see what happens. Okay, so we are bringing the topic of like Sky Shield, I guess. Your Honor, we indeed have no relevant evidence, but we hope to question another witness who might be aware of the circumstances. Oh, and does that witness have evidence to support your claim? Well, I'm not sure, but we believe that questioning this person could lead to a breakthrough in the case. The witness the defendant wishes to question is Goldstein. Simon Goldstein, the Deputy Director of the Crimson Ultra-Realistic Robots Research Center. The Deputy Director. Yeah, we currently cannot prove whether the defendant knew the director's condition when she turned on the circuit breaker. But on the other hand, the prosecution's evidence chain is also insufficient to pin the murder charge on my client. Mr. Goldstein holds a position in the center second only to the victim, and should be the one most knowledgeable about the center. Questioning him would be more efficient than we arguing here. I do agree. From the beginning of the trial, none of the leaders of the center have testified in court. The court indeed has an obligation to consider the opinions of the deputy director. Prosecutor Schubert, what do you think? He fell asleep again. No comment. Yeah, he was expecting that, so no, he's playing defensively. Since Prosecutor Schubert has no objection, let's have the witness Simon Goldstein testify. The witness who just testified may now return to the gallery temporarily. Where justice prevails, evil finds no refuge. Farewell for now, everyone. We shall reconvene in the future. Crazy. Where is Mr. Goldstein now? The prosecution has already arranged for him to testify. Please come up. Good morning, everyone. Witness name and occupation. I'm Simon Goldstein, the Deputy Director of the Robots Research Center. Today's main event is finally starting. Mr. Goldstein, were you present at the center throughout the day of the incident without leaving at all? Please define without leaving at all. Your body remained within the center. Well, during the tea break, I leaned out of the window to get some fresh air. Other than that, yes, my body remained within the center. Quite a meticulous witness indeed. Deputy Director, you must have experienced all the events that took place in the center on the day of the incident, right? Well, to be exact, I experienced all of the events except the murder. So defense, what do you want the witness to testify about? I believe we should first establish Mr. Goldstein's activities on the incident day to ascertain how much he knows about the case. Well, that sounds reasonable. Witness, please testify about your activities on the day. I will do my best. Okay, so we are trying to fish for contradiction with Gray's testimony. The morning I had a discussion with the director about the preparations for the open day. After lunch I encountered Zoe, who just had been scolded by the director, and comforted her with a few words. I remained in my office working throughout the afternoon. Around 4:30, it seemed like there was a blackout in the center, but I didn't pay much attention to it. About 6 minutes later, the power was restored, presumably because Zoe had turned on the circuit breaker. I continued working in my office. It wasn't until the police arrived that I learned about the director's incident. I was quite distressed about the director's passing at that time. It's truly regrettable. Okay, we have two elements that we want to press, I think. He's completely portraying himself as an outsider. Am I hearing it correctly, witness? Are you suggesting that as a deputy director, you were completely unaware of the director's death until the police arrived? Well, if you're questioning my dedication to duty, I have to say that's rather unfair. I rarely leave my office during work hours, and I was too focused on my work to notice this incident. Unfortunately, I cannot provide more assistance in the case. His attitude of shirking responsibility and watertight testimony really matches his usual style. But things cannot be as simple as he's making them to be, right? Well, definitely not. In the upcoming questioning, we must strip away his disguise. Okay. So we want to press when he's talking about working in his office, I think. Which is here. So this is before the blackout. During your time in the office, did you encounter anything noteworthy? Could you define anything noteworthy? I mean, anything other than work-related matters. If you're asking whether I slacked off during work, I must commend your meticulousness in handling matters. Even my tea break habits are thoroughly investigated. What? The witness has a tea break habit every day at 2:30. The prosecution has confirmed it. Well, interesting. Since you like tea so much, I'll bring you some another day. Thank you for the kind offer, Miss Assistant, but please rest assured that my tea break is permitted by the director and not a slack off. He steers the conversation in a strange direction. Okay, so what about after? This is pretty straightforward. He doesn't know anything about that, surely. I continued working in my office. After the power was restored, did you not notice anything? Nothing. A blackout is usual for our center. I prefer not to interrupt my thoughts during work, so I didn't pay attention. And did you ever leave your office before the police arrived at the research center? Could you define leave? Are you referring to physically or mentally leaving? Well, physically, of course. Can you even physically stay in the office while mentally being at the beach? Well, I see, my body never left the office until I heard the police sirens. This is the problem, right? The murder was on the murder was before the reset, the memory reset of Remily. I mean, my problem is that I don't exactly know when... We don't exactly know when the page has been torn off. No, it had... No, wait. Because Remily is getting her thing back on Tuesday, no? Or am I mistaken? No, she has her journal immediately, her diary immediately, the photos that Gray is giving afterwards. So that's the problem. If he did not leave... Wait, I don't know. Because you could have taken it afterwards, right? A lot of doctors and police came. I don't know what happened. Both of them refused to tell me. In the morning, they seemed to be talking about something like the time bomb sky shield. Okay, so that was a discussion in the morning. Huh. I don't know. I was thinking of maybe it's a lie because he had to get out of it to remove this page, torn this page, tear this page, but maybe, I don't know. Still no, so you were certain you never left your office throughout. That's correct, I'm certain. Why does the defendant keep asking, is this testimony significant? I do think it is, but No, it's wrong just because he... It's a bit weird, this is a bit weird. Wait, there's a few issues here. Okay, so maybe I asked the deputy director what happened. You could argue that it means that the deputy director... We don't know. Did he came out after or before the police came? This thing is not exactly clear, I believe. What I'm interested about, and we had a hint about that, is that his hand was cut and bleeding. I fear that Sordin is the culprit. Why? Okay, So his hand was cut and bleeding, and she bought some band-aids for that. So that was just after the murder. And the thing is, we know that like the edges are sharp enough to cut someone. Sordin probably was the one bringing the corpse outside. Like he removed the jacket. Okay, it makes sense. So he sent a message to, again, because there was like a problem. He said, like Sordin said that like he went in the breaker room, but like he did not like put the power back. He went back to his room and then he called Zoe. The problem with that is that, it's not the problem, but like I think that like he sent Zoe into the breaker room, and during the 6 minutes, he moved the corpse. Wait, it doesn't make sense. How did you manage to remove like the... Because this was found like in the pit. So how did you bring the metal vest like outside? Was it like a day after? It might have been a day after, to be honest. But like he would like use the blackout to bring the corpse out, remove like the helmet, and you cut yourself on the helmet, which could be our, you know, definitive evidence here, to be fair. Like if we test for DNA, he brought the corpse basically here through, I don't know. Either you took like the armor off, but I don't know how you would do that without triggering the alarm, the metal gate, or you would leave like the thing here and like throw everything in the pit afterwards. Which is a bit weird, to be honest, because the police came immediately. So there's yeah, okay. I don't know. I think it's significant at the very least. I have to say it's only reasonable to do so. Okay. I remain in my office awaiting the police investigation. The wording is a bit weird here. I think it's like contradicting what he said, but I don't know. Let's try. I just don't see what you could like press besides it. Non-metal tracks. Okay, let's try this. I'm not exactly sure, but maybe it works. You finally given the game away, Mr. Goldstein. Okay, so it works. If you're suggesting I'm playing games, then I have to say I've never played games in my life. Stop playing dumb. Mr. Goldstein, let me confirm one last time. You claim to have stayed in your office from the beginning to the end. Is that correct? Well, yes, that's right. Then explain how this piece of evidence ended up in your office. Okay, so she went like for my first thing. She went for the argument that she couldn't have taken this particular thing. I mean, it's a bit weird. How is it possible? As everyone here should recall, in yesterday's trial, we discovered a torn mark on Remilly White's diary. Yes, and we adjourned yesterday's session because of that. This torn page was found in the deputy director's office. The tear on the paper matches perfectly with the tear in the diary, and the handwriting is extremely similar to Emily White's. Bailiff, take this page for examination. Why is this page in your possession? I should be the one asking this question. The content on this page describes the situation after the police arrived, obviously written after the incident, yet you claim you have stayed in your office the entire time after the murder, and then you went straight home. I mean, it's not exactly what he said, which is like a problem with the wording of the translation probably, but I do agree with like Luna. It's just that, yeah, what we saw as like in the English text was not exactly that, but... Are you suggesting that this torn page grew legs and walked into your room? Well, if you're suggesting that I lied, I have to say, you caught me. What kind of reaction is this? Handwriting analysis is complete. All the text on the page is indeed written by Emily White. Order. Bring that piece of paper up here. So, okay. Time bomb, sky shield, disaster. There seems to be a lot of important content written on this page. How could this happen? How was it discovered? Sky shield. Prosecutor Schubert seems particularly interested in Sky Shield. Isn't the Sky Shield the most terrifying criminal organization in the world? Yes. And how could this murder case at the robotics center be related to Sky Shield? Your Honor, Miss Frey, you've got it all wrong. Our center is dedicated to robot manufacturing technology. How could we possibly be linked to that organization? Then how do you explain the content in this diary? And why did you tear it up and hide it? Well, I believe that Remily misunderstood the conversation between me and Sordin. Huh? On the day of the incident, World Times just happened to report on the news about Sky Shield and the time bomb. Sordin and I were just discussing this news, and Remily, who happened to pass by, probably misunderstood something. That's why she wrote down such content. I mean, we know it's false because, like, you have this badge. I remember that news too. I panicked after the incident and happened to see the content in Remily's diary. In order to avoid accusations against the center, I tore it up and hid it. It was just a desperate move. So you tore off the page because you were afraid of providing evidence to the police during their investigation. The court cannot endorse this behavior, but it does sound somewhat reasonable. Sis Luna, what is Mr. Goldstein? Is what Mr. Goldstein said true? No, I think it's just an excuse he came up with on the spot. Your Honor, Mr. Goldstein has hidden more important evidence than this one. What, there's more? Yes, and I'm afraid this item will further prove the connection between the center and Sky Shield. Another important piece of evidence hidden by Mr. Goldstein is this one. So the badge. What is this? A breast pin? This badge was hidden by Mr. Goldstein in a rather secretive storage cabinet. We had a hard time finding it, and its meaning... Where did you get that thing from? I just said it was in the deputy director's storage cabinet. Why are you so worked up? Do you know the meaning of this badge? It has this Chinese character 10 inside. I mean, not 10, but I can't remember how you say this in Chinese, meaning the sky, and the shape of a shield outside, probably a token of Sky Shield. Your Honor, the prosecution requests the immediate increase of personnel in the courtroom and the blocking of all exits. Why? The badge is not something an ordinary member of Sky Shield can possess. It is a symbol of power, exclusive to the 7 highest ranking heads. What? The highest ranking heads? What? Order. Bailiff, there may be extremely dangerous individuals present in this courtroom. Please proceed as Prosecutor Schubert said. Yes. Prosecutor Schubert, why do you know this information? I heard it from Detective Sanford. The badge is not only a token of the heads, but also a highly encrypted communicator. Although the police have got 2 badges from the deceased member of Sky Shield, they still cannot intercept their communication. So the assumption that one of the highest-ranking Sky Shield heads is hiding in his research center has been confirmed. How can it be? I see. Mr. Goldstein, even if the situation has come to this point, do you still intend to evade responsibility? No. Answer me, are you the fourth-ranking head of Sky Shield, the technician known as the Quadrant? No. This is impossible. We are the top scientific talents. Why are you getting involved in all of this? Mr. Goldstein, why? Why do you have to push me to this extent? Witness, please calm down. The deputy director has been completely enraged by the current situation, but maybe this is my best chance to press on further. But from which angle should I apply pressure on him? Consider the evidence what role Deputy Director Simon Goldstein plays in this case. He is a head of Sky Shield. Considering his reaction, probably not. I would expect the Quadrant to be Crimson. And probably he found like the badge and hid it to like prevent the center to be closed down, something like this, which could go in the direction that like both Goldstein and Sordin were working together, both to protect like White and also to protect the center by getting rid of Craig Crimson. He is the murderer of Joseph Crimson. I do not believe it's the case. He is an accomplice in this case. Could be, although I don't have anything that would pin him in like the murder case, to be honest. We have two solutions. Either he is completely innocent or he is working in a cahoot with Sordin, but I don't know. None of the above is probably the answer, since it's like, if this is like an option that is given, this is probably the answer. So let's gamble and say that like it's none of the above. He was just trying to protect like the center from Sky Shield and from the government. Based on the evidence I have, I cannot pin him down as a member of Sky Shield. Accusing him of being the murderer also lacks direct evidence and it would easily be refuted. Moreover, the method of the crime in this case is so complex, we haven't found any evidence that there being two perpetrators. I like the fact that she's not like ruling it out completely, she's just saying like there's no hard evidence pointing to that. To get him to tell the truth, I have to find another way. Exactly, this is not about like, we need to be like subtle. I like this approach. This is very good writing here. Mr. Goldstein, I find your behavior during the incident rather puzzling. According to your own account, you neither committed the murder nor are you a member of Sky Shield. Yet despite all this, you chose to tamper with evidence and conceal the truth. What drove you to go to such lengths? Could it be that you were still fulfilling the original duties of a deputy director? The Robot Research Center was my peaceful kingdom. How could it be destroyed by a mere case like this? I adhere to my schedule diligently every day, leading this repetitive and peaceful life. What have I done? Have I done anything wrong? Mr. Goldstein, please calm down and answer our questions, okay? It's futile. Perhaps since what happened to the director, everything is gone. Longing to maintain the old days. What am I struggling for? Looks like I was right. Please answer the defense question. Are you really a member of Sky Shield? No, I'm not. At this point, hiding anything won't help anymore. I took this badge from the Director's Crimson's room after the incident, okay? So the badge belongs to the director, but why would you do that? Actually, Sordin noticed something suspicious about the director the day before the incident. I don't know what his reason was, but he insisted that I investigated the director background. I never doubted the director's personality. After working together for 6 years, I never noticed anything abnormal from him. That day I checked Director Crimson's personal accounts based on the information within the center and found frequent transactions from overseas accounts. We saw those bills in the Deputy Director's folders too. I always believed it's better to let sleeping dogs lie, even if he had dealings with a criminal organization. As long as he didn't harm anyone and focused on his research. What did he have to do with me? Kind of a coward, but utterly foolish. All of this happened the day before the incident. Yes, initially I chose to turn a blind eye and advise Sorting to remain calm. Who knew what the director would lose his life the next day? I was worried that the director's connection to the organization would bring even greater disaster to the center. So before the police arrived, I removed all traces related to this matter. Remily White's diary, the director's bill, and the badge, right? Yes, I thoroughly searched the director's room and found it in the compartment of his desk drawer. I didn't realize the true meaning of the badge until just now. It looked suspicious, so I took it with the rest. I intended to wait for the case to blow over before disposing of them completely. Who knew that you would find them? Your words are sweeter than a song. Do you really think we'll buy this excuse? Yes, the court can't easily believe your words now, especially since the badge was found in your office. Maybe you're the extremely dangerous criminal. Please, Protector Schubert, you just mentioned that the badge also functions as a communicator. Yes, so what? Well, since it's not just a piece of decoration, but a device that could be used, it must have left traces of usage over time. I've only had it for 2 days, and I've been very careful to keep it in the cabinet and never touched it. Let the police examine it, and the ownership of the badge will be clear. That makes sense. Bailiff quickly investigated his page. I didn't expect it would come to this. I thought the deputy director was the one colluding with Sky Shield. I mean, could it be that the real identity of Quadrant is actually Joseph Crimson? Even though the death of a Sky Shield head is not a bad thing, I'm going to lose a lead on incident number 761. Your Honor, we found fingerprints of both Simon Goldstein and Joseph Crimson on this badge. Most of the fingerprints belong to Joseph Crimson and they were left 48 hours or more ago. Oh, well done. So the owner of the badge is indeed the victim, Joseph Crimson. Huh. Was it just my imagination? Prosecutor Schubert seemed to momentarily show a disappointed expression. Bailiff, you can stand down from the alert now. Yes, Your Honor. That startled me just now. Witness, besides hiding evidence, what else did you do on the day of the incident? Well, apart from that, everything I said earlier is true. I had no involvement in anything related to this case. My actions within the center on that day can be proven by multiple witnesses and pieces of evidence. So, although this case has led to unexpected twists, there has been no fundamental changes. The deputy director has disclosed all of his actions while he's suspected of concealing evidence. He's not a suspect involved in this case. What's that saying again? Throwing the baby out with the bathwater. Well, it seems difficult to find another reason to keep him here. The prosecution agrees with the judge's assessment. We can pursue the issue of concealing evidence later. The murder trial is more important right now. Witness, you may leave. In that case, the witness may step down. Wait! Witness, do you have something else to say? Yes, I have indeed disclosed all of my actions. But I am not finished speaking yet. What did you want to say? As the deputy director, it is my responsibility to take charge of the center in the absence of the director. Therefore, I would like to express my opinions on this case. The witness's role in the case is clear, but he is not a professional investigator, so it is absurd to listen to his opinions. Your Honor, the defense believes it's necessary to hear what the witness has to say. And why? Well, even though I have no idea what he is going to say, I have to keep him here no matter what. The picture of this case is still missing some pieces, and maybe they are in the hands of the deputy directors. Well, I was just wondering, is the chair you're sitting on comfortable? What are you talking about? Wait, the chair in this courtroom is not very comfortable because there's a piece of leather torn in the middle of the cushion. The most comfortable one is in courtroom 3 because it was replaced just a few months ago. As you said, you are familiar with the chairs because of your years spent on the chairs. Although Mr. Goldstein is not a professional investigator, he has been working at this center for 8 years. Wouldn't his insights into what happened in the center be deeper and more comprehensive than those of us outsiders? The defense pot shots do have some merits. But the word you used has no merit at all. Well, it seems the witness has calmed down now. If you have something to say, please include it in your testimony. The court will consider it accordingly. I believe what happened that day was just an unfortunate accident. That afternoon there was a blackout at the center due to a short circuit. At that time the director was trapped in the elevator, so no new information. Because of the special structure of the elevator, a blackout makes it difficult for people inside to tell which floor they are on. The director likely believed the elevator had stopped on the second floor, hence entering the electromagnetic lab in Metal Gear. So it just restored the power supply, as usual after the circuit breaker tripped. However, she didn't know that the action caused the director to be attracted by the electromagnetic wall and seriously injured. Zoe, who discovered this accident, went to turn off the electromagnetic wall to save the director. She put the seriously injured director on the handcart and quietly pushed him out of the electromagnetic lab to the biochemical lab. Unexpectedly, the director suddenly woke up and mistakenly thought Zoe intended to kill him, hence leaving behind the dying message. Why would she do that though? Doesn't make sense, but okay. What's wrong with the judge? The witness deduction is unexpectedly well organized. Could it be the truth? Is what the deputy director said the whole truth of the incident? Of course not. This testimony is full of loopholes. Prosecutor Schubert didn't even bother to refute. For example, if the director made a mistake about the floor, he wouldn't have mistaken the laboratory. I mean, we know that it was done by swapping those things, but if Miss Sapphire accidentally turned on the breaker, she wouldn't find the director was attracted to the wall at once. And if she wanted to save the director, she could just have called an ambulance. There was no need to push him away. So, you understand? Aside from the loopholes, the deputy director also mentioned something that has caught my attention. What does this strange contradiction imply? Your Honor, our center has been dedicated to scientific research for many years, and all members are outstanding talents. Even if the director has some connection with a criminal organization, I do not believe anyone would plot to kill him. This trial is just a misunderstanding. I hope you can see it clearly. Hi, Memory. I hope that you are doing well today. We are progressing in this last day of trial. Okay, so let's start questioning. I don't exactly know what the contradiction is, to be honest. We need to check that a bit more precisely. Accident. That afternoon there was a blackout at the center due to a short circuit. At that time the director was trapped in the elevator. Nothing to say here, obviously. Because of the special structure of the elevator, a blackout makes it difficult for people inside to tell which floor they are on. Okay, we kind of know that already. The director likely believed that the elevator had stopped on the second floor, hence entering the electromagnetic lab in Metal Gear. Again, it's fitting our theory, so there's nothing wrong here. So it just restored the power supply as usual after the circuit breaker tripped. Okay, so that's what we know. However, she didn't know that this action caused the director to be attracted and seriously injured. Do we have like the autopsy record? Suffered a severe impact, but we don't like excessive bleeding. It's like from bleeding, not from like concussion. So he did not die on the spot, which we also know because he was able to write something here. Zoe, who discovered this accident, went to turn off the electromagnetical wall to save the director. Why? She put the seriously injured director on the handcart and quietly pushed him out of the electromagnetical lab to the biochemical lab. Zoe, who discovered the incident, went to turn off the electromagnetical... Wait, she went there? I don't know how you came up with like thumbnail previews image before streaming. Immediately into case 4, there's an extremely impactful image similar to the painting of the case in 1/4 of Ace Attorney. Oh, you mean with like the... you mean with the... the... was it like the discussion between like the two people in the dark? I can't remember the opening of 1/4. For the previews, either like I boot the game or like... yeah, Edgewater the gun, yeah. Either like I boot the game and like I start like a little bit going into fast forward, or like I try to find like screenshots on the internet. But it has been so long, I can't remember like the beginning of... oh, you know, oh, you mean of case 4, okay. I was thinking of case 3, I read case 3, so I was like a bit lost. No, case 4, okay. I mean, this game is a really like structured like an Ace Attorney game, so there's a lot of reference to like old cases. I guess I'm very eager to play like case 4. I think like it's going in a very interesting direction. Okay, so let's think about like how things are going. Like she went, I guess like she came back here on the stock room and she saw like the electromagnetic lab and she saw like the body on the floor, something like that. That's what he means by like went to turn off the electromagnetic wall to save the director, because he was still like stuck on the wall, right? She put the seriously injured director on the handcart and quietly pushed him out of the electromagnetic lab to the biochemical lab. I don't understand. What am I missing? Okay, let's press on this. We know that the issue is like probably here, probably in those 3 things, but I don't understand why. I just wanted to warn you in case you end up booting the beginning of case 3 to grab a pic, but if your method avoids that, you're good. Oh, okay. So I'll try to pick another thing. Maybe like the one in the... maybe I'll try to take like the picture from the title screen if it's like a very strong start then. Thank you for the heads up. So there's a considerable distance between the electromagnetic lab and the central control room. After the defendant restored power, could she really have discovered the victim in the electromagnetic lab? I mean... yeah, okay. And she will say that she returned to the stockroom, so okay, pretty straightforward. The door exactly opposite, so yeah, that's what we said. Very good. I believe the collision would have made some noise. If you had personally experienced it, could you still testify here? Okay, no. Okay. So it's natural for her to help the injured director when she saw him. Okay. There's something wrong here. I just can't understand what is wrong in this sentence. She put the seriously injured into a handcart and quietly pushed him out of the electromagnetic lab to the biochemical lab. What does this handcart refer to? It's a flat handcart that happened to be in the electromagnetic lab. So there happened to be a handcart in the same place where the director died, which could be used to transport a body. What a coincidence. The purpose of this handcart is to transport experimental equipment. It's normal to see it anywhere at the center. What material is this handcart made of? To prevent hazard and instrumental interference, the center's handcarts are made of non-metallic and non-conductive materials. The director's arguments is difficult to refute. There's something that prevents Zoe from quietly transporting the director on the handcart. Eh? I don't understand. Saying hi while my partner is busy. Thank you, Secret. I hope that you are having a good day and that you will still have like a good afternoon and evening with your partner. But it's very nice for you to come here. Yippee! Thank you. 5 months. 5 months already. She is crazy. Thank you very much, very much. I don't know. Suddenly woke up. Do you also believe that the director left the blood word because of the imprinting behavior? The director is not a duck. How could he have imprinting behavior? What does that mean? This is just the most logical inference. While being unconscious from his severe injury, he couldn't know that Zoe saved him. Instead, he thought Zoe was there to confirm he was alive or not, so he used his own blood to write down her name. Explanation. Okay, there's nothing we can do with that. Soul of the. Okay, this is like an Ace Attorney reference. Okay, we can't say anything about that because like it's purely psychological. There's nothing. Okay, so those two things are like the problem. I think this one is like pretty straightforward. Like, the explanation makes sense. It has been a while, it might not be a bad idea to revisit evidence to see what you have. I like the fact that you see like the thing here. Is that also like in the Switch version of like the remake of the Ace Attorney games? She put a electronic lab to... What is... I don't understand. Why is that wrong? Because she would have put the power off, right? No, wait. When? No, I'm stupid. Okay, no, I'm stupid. In my head, I was like, Zoe, who discovered the accident, went to turn off the wall by like putting the power off from in the breaker room. But no, it's like just put the wall on off. So like the answer is obviously, I mean, this is not exactly like a problem though, because we know what happened. But if we just have to refute this, the answer is obviously that at that time the power was back. So if she would carry the entire, at least, you know, maybe the helmet was not here because like it stayed in the room, but he was still wearing the metal vest. So the problem with that is that it couldn't be quiet because of the metal gate, I guess. Okay, I was like just a bit mistaken. Okay. So you know the ugly duckling and how ugly duckling thought it's a duck because it saw a duck when he was born. Oh yeah. That's okay. That's what I mean by imprinting behavior. I see. I'm sorry I'm late, Miss Librarian, but it's good to see you. It's very good to see you as well, Kelly. I hope that you are doing very well today. Tonight, I should say. Miss Goldstein, you believe that the defendant quietly pushed the victim out of the lab on the handcart, right? Yes. That's strange. At the time of the incident, the director was still wearing the metal protective gear. Then how could he quietly pass through the metal detector? Okay, I was just stupid here. It's my fault. I completely forgot that. Maybe when the director was taken out of the lab. And also it's like, in my theory, if it's sword in grey, I mean, this is still a problem, to be honest. It's still problematic. No, wait. Wait. You could smuggle the thing out, the metal vest out of it, right? If you use this, right? So that may be like how Swordin was able to like smuggle the protective gear like outside of the lab, maybe. Although his metal helmet was left in the lab, the metal vest was taken outside, yes, because it was thrown in the pit. You can use the excuse of it has been a while. It's true, although like I reviewed like a little bit of like the case by watching like the previous VOD yesterday, but I think I was just like I misunderstood what he meant by like powering down the wall. But if the director's body was really transported as you said, then the metal vest must have wings and fly into the pit outside. That's impossible. Well, it can't be. The death was already suspicious and the killer even devised ways to destroy evidence and transport the metal vest. All signs indicate that it is definitely a murder, not an accident. Yeah, okay. Although the mystery is that who the killer is or why did... Okay, so it has to be Swordin. It has to be Swordin. Everything is lining up. Although the mystery is that who the killer is, why he or she wanted to kill the director, and how the body ended up in the stock room entrance remained unsolved, we firmly believe that it cannot be dismissed as a simple accident. So witness, I can't agree with your reasoning. It's not over yet. Even if, as you say, the director was murdered, his metal vest couldn't have passed through the metal detector quietly. Your logic doesn't hold up either. What is he talking about? How was the metal vest taken out? Okay, so that's how we are using like my first intuition was that like there was maybe another like blackout or like somebody like powered off the center and like you would use like this time frame to smuggle the thing out later. But I guess you can just like smuggle it with like cyan, right? I was so focused on pointing out contradictions that I didn't think about it at all. Let's think about the possibilities of how the metal vest could be transported out first. It's a good way... Okay, it's a good argument. If the killer cannot destroy the metal detector or open another passage in the lab, he can only place it in something undetectable a bit too... I don't think Ace Attorney would like give you this hint, but... I think that's the problem like of at least case 3 is that like it's a good mystery, it is too... There's too much hand-holding. We haven't found a storage bot that could avoid the detector. Okay, although it sounds absurd, there is indeed a possibility. The thing that could transport the metal vest without triggering the alarm is cyan. Something made of metal but can evade the metal detector. There's really something like this in the research center, more precisely someone. And hi, Cyber on YouTube. I look cute today. Is that a Suicide reference? Kyo Mokai? Cyan? What is this? The lead actress from a horror movie? The person in this photo is named Cyan. She's a creation of the Crimson Ultra-Realistic Robot Research Center. Simply put, she is an ultra-realistic robot. Ideally, there would be options for amount of hints. Some people need them, some don't. I completely agree with that. That would be the way I would write like a mystery game. It's like, and to be fair, like Ace Attorney kind of does that, no? You should do a game where we can't see here, but like, don't put HP for mistakes. But in Ace Attorney, when you like, during like cross examinations, when you like attack everything and then you loop the dialogue, you have some hints from your assistant, right? And you should have the same thing also if you fail, if you give the wrong evidence for those particular sequence. Like your assistant would like give you some sort of hint, or you can prompt them like to give you some hint. And like that would be a good way of like also involving your assistant into the case. But yeah, I think like Trials of Innocence is like pushing hints like a bit too liberally, which is fine to be honest. But it kind of like brings a little bit down the, you know, oomph effect of the deduction. Does anyone look like that? Oh, never mind. Based on what I know, Miss Cyan has a shielding skin layer. It enables her to pass any external inspection. There's a small spare compartment in her abdomen, perfect for transporting items. I see. You're right, Miss Cyan's entry and exit from the electromagnetic lab wouldn't just trigger the alarm. But what does that mean? Well, it's quite simple. After the director was murdered, the killer stuffed the metal vest into Miss Cyan's abdominal compartment and smuggled it out of the lab. What? The one who could think of the method must be someone in the center who knows her body structure well. All signs indicate that this case is full of evidence of human intervention. Mr. Goldstein, I know you want to protect the center, but do you still insist that it was an accident? What you're saying is, it makes sense. These are indelible traces of human interference. But why are you pushing it to this extent? The director's death has upset all of us in the center, and you proved that he was a head of an international criminal organization. Though you insist on finding a culprit to add to this misery. Very important discourse, I think. Yeah, this is a very important point, like narratively, it's like, what's the purpose? Literally, what's the purpose? Like, in our current condition, the judge will rule everything as an accident, probably. Why, Miss Ray? Why? How much more do you want to damage this research center before you're satisfied? Order. Mr. Goldstein looks a bit pitiful. I know, but the case has come this far. If we argue it was an accident for the sake of a non-guilty verdict, what was the point of all our efforts? But what's the point also to seek the truth like to that extent? Well, I remember Chief said that the truth isn't always as beautiful as we imagine. Is it right to persist in digging until the end? I haven't forgotten Chief's word, but he never taught me to give up halfway. I mean, what's the most reasonable outcome of this case? We haven't gotten to the core of the truth yet. Making any judgments now would be premature. I mean, to her defense, she at this point doesn't know that like Sordin is probably the culprit, which is my opinion on the case. So like that's why I wouldn't necessarily pursue this line of thought, but who knows. Now is not the time to hesitate. After all, the next breakthrough is right in front of us. Miss Cyan was used to transport the metal vest, and she must know something. The defense requests Miss Cyan to testify. Okay, so we have our crazy witness, that lead actress from a horror movie. Miss Ray, do you realize the consequences of randomly playing with the strings? Asking a robot on a solemn courtroom stage is utterly absurd. What, you want to question a robot? Defense, are you serious? You want to bring a machine to the witness stand? Your Honor, Miss Cyan is not just a machine. She is an ultra-realistic robot with high intelligence, capable of speaking like a human. A talking machine is still a machine. There's no fundamental difference. Miss Cyan possesses the memory and emotions of a human being. She can speak, laugh, and even think independently. I want to question the robot. I want to question the crazy robot. Aside from her unique physical construction, she's just like any other human. Is there such a miraculous robot in the world? Well, yes, and her upper body looks exactly like a human. Well, let me think. Although questioning a robot in court is against regulations, out of curiosity, out of fairness, the court believes it's indeed necessary to hear the testimony of Miss Cyan. What do you think, Prosecutor Schubert? No comment. Okay, she should be still resting in the center. She can be here in just 15 minutes. Taking a taxi from the center usually takes 45. We will win this case, obviously. Aided by her tracks, she's faster than a car by 3 times? I see. So many poses. I love these so much. So true. I see. Mr. Goldstein, summon Miss Cyan to testify now, please. And the court shall adjourn for 20 minutes. Okay. We're getting there, I think. That was close. It was. Close to not get a guilty verdict? No, close to get you a guilty verdict, I see. Mr. Fire, what is what Mr. Goldstein said in court true? What do you mean? Pushing the director out of the lab to save him? Yes. Of course not. I'd explained everything I know yesterday. If I knew he crashed into the wall and died, I wouldn't have told you. That's true. By the way, I want to know something about Miss Cyan. Will she obey any orders from everyone in the center? No, she won't. Although robots must obey human orders according to the 3 laws of robotics, there's an additional condition. The person giving her orders must have a management qualification. Management qualification? Yeah, someone like me who has been here only for a month can not give her orders. Those who can are mostly the seasoned folks in the center. So Goldstein, Gray, White, and Director Crimson have the right. Well, pretty much, but even if Remedy has the right, she probably won't remember to use it. There were only 3 people who could order Miss Cyan to assist in moving the metal vest. So 3 suspects, not 3 suspects, it's like 2 suspects. And by the way, will Miss Cyan execute any order which won't hurt humans, even if it involves assisting in a crime? I haven't tried that, so how would I know? But one thing is for sure, Miss Cyan probably wouldn't stand by if someone in danger needed help. Once a kid passing by the center fell and she rushed out to help him up. Those are good characters. I think like Zoe really grew on me like after, being a bit more responsible like in the past scenes, I would say. I don't know. And probably scared him half to death. So to get Miss Cyan to help with the scene, the killer absolutely cannot let her see the director's body. In that case, it's difficult to imagine how this process unfolded. Okay, so she's here. Some chaos here, come and help me. She has arrived, what a troublemaker. Zoe is one of my favorites, to be honest. I do understand. Like, she is very Ace Attorney-esque, but like in a good way. And I think like she's like really the girl failure, but like in a very endearing way. Her twirling animation is big. I love it so much. It's so smooth. The chaos will probably last for a while. Okay, let's go back. Whatever. Let's go. No problem. I will say, I still think that like Silas is like a bit crazy, but I like his design with like the, kind of like tightening rope or whatever, that or like kind of like the cable for like the headphone. I kind of like the detail of Silas. I honestly sort of relate being smart but ending up with a crappy job. I mean, this is kind of like, you know, the gifted kid pipeline into something, you know, in a capitalistic society or whatever. And like, you know, it's like you are kind of like, I mean, you're brilliant, but like you were never given the chance to like really do something, you know, to prove yourself. It's like, oh yeah, you're the intern, but like you have to do like such bad, you know, and menial tasks that you cannot like really progress. I think she's a very good foil to Emily White that is more like obviously, I guess, in control, elegant. It's interesting. So I heard that the wanted witness has arrived, so the trial of the murder can continue. Dear me, good afternoon everyone. Order, what's wrong with you all? How rude is it to make such a noise to a quiet lady? It seems that he cannot see the mechanical part of Cyan's lower body. Witness, your name and occupation. Well, my name is Cyan, and for my occupation, let's go with Robot. Robot? It has been mentioned many times, why are you so surprised? Any problem, Cyan is just a nickname. The full name is Ultra Realistic Memory Inversion Type Humanoid Robot, GBXF003. Well, I see, Robert, it's really an unexpected occupation for this courtroom. It looks like the judge is still unwilling to accept the fact. Okay, thank you for coming, and maybe I'll see you just a bit later. Now, even the mechanical noise has a place in the sacred courtroom symphony. What a joke. Whether it's a robot or human, once on the witness stand, they all have the right to testify. So this lady is really a robot. You haven't realized it yet? Well, we can argue later. Why did you just call me here? What do you want to know? What do you want to do? Well, we brought you to testify. Testify? How? Well, how about you tell us about your experiences on the day of the incident? Oh, like that. Got it. Okay. A lot did happen that day, but sorry, I cannot tell you most of it. I can talk about myself though. I was watching a TV series and contemplating the meaning of life. If you want to know more, please ask someone else. Her. That's all. It's like saying nothing at all. Is this a testimony the defense wanted to hear? It seems a bit different from what I imagined. Well, since that's the case, please make sure to seize the opportunity. Miss Anne, why couldn't you testify properly about your actions on the day of the incident? Well, I'm the crystallization of high tech in the center, and there are many secrets there. When we're all in the center, you were a visitor and I was a guide. I can tell you things. But now we are in an unfamiliar place. What if I say too much and leak secrets? How can there be such a thing? Miss Ray, are you going to question the testimony just given? I try my best. Let's begin. I just don't know what I can do with this testimony, to be fair. It's a courtroom. Anything can help. I'm bound by the free laws. But what does that have to do with anything? Free laws. It's the free laws, the free behavior guidelines robots must follow. Take a look at this. Okay, we know. Let me see. A robot may not injure a human being through an action, allow a human being to come to harm, must obey the order of human beings, except when such orders would conflict with the first law, and a robot must protect itself as long as such protection doesn't conflict with the first and second law. Though it's high-tech, it doesn't seem much different from the laws I usually read. There's no such law in our country. The court hasn't asked you to harm anyone, so why refuse to testify? I was informed long ago that I cannot disclose national secrets. But we're not asking you to reveal any secrets. Whatever happened in the research center is part of national secrets. I'm sorry, but I cannot talk about most of it. What are we doing here? Please tell us in detail about your actions that day. You've put me on the spot here. Even though I have my own will, the program settings cannot be violated. Things that cannot be said cannot be said. When you say someone else, you mean, of course, someone who doesn't need to follow the free laws and can speak freely. TV series, contemplating the meaning of life. I've been interested in robot-themed primetime series. It's inspiring. Female commander, would you enlighten us? What is required for sentience? Oh, like, okay, man, basically. What? It's here with the first. Intelligence is common to data intelligence. And to cope with new situation, what about self-awareness? Because you are conscious of your existence and action. My life... What happened next? The judge is hooked on the lines of a TV series. What happened next? Why are you so into it too? There's nothing interesting afterwards. Sorry, I didn't mean to keep you in suspense. Alas. Sci-fi show in America. Probably similar to Galactic Wars. I don't even know what she was like referencing, but... What can we do? What... Oh, that's a line of Star Trek: The New Generation. I did not recognize the other line, but... Missine cannot violate the command of do not disclose confidential information, so she cannot reveal what happened that day. So who gave her the command? Probably Director Crimson or Deputy Director Goldstein. But since the person with authority can keep her silent, then conversely they can also lift her restrictions, right? It's an old episode. I can't remember. I just can't remember. That's why, you know, I don't think I am a nerd. I just can't remember. Like, I was watching Star Trek, but like, I just can't remember about that. That's right, but Mesa Crimson is already dead. The director isn't the only one with the authority. What about the others? Well, we can like ask Goldstein, right? I mean, I should like watch Star Trek again, to be fair. Like, it was good. It was really good. Like, Star Wars, I just don't understand. That would be aired before you were born. So true, maybe. Who knows? Executing number 2 instruction of the right program. Not activated. No, I can honestly talk about what happened that day. Now that you have the authority to speak, please testify again. But like, I was watching, I mean... I guess I was like... I remember I watched like some like Red Dwarf. But mostly I was watching old episodes of like... Doctor Who, but like... Those long, you know, soap opera series, it was just too long for me, so... Most of them... I did not watch. Unfortunately, but like... From what I've seen, I prefer Star Trek way more than, you know, Star Wars or anything like this. I watched Star Wars like very late and I just don't understand like why it's such a big deal. I just don't understand what is the point of like Star Wars. Watching it as, you know, like an old teenager, let's say. Oh wait, this is new information. This morning I received a task from the director, so I delivered tea to him. I ran into the deputy director at that time and he greeted me warmly. After lunch, since there was nothing to do, I stayed on the first floor. I was just watching TV series there the whole afternoon. Then a group of police suddenly arrived at the center and only then did I know the incident. Huh. This testimony is almost indistinguishable from that of an ordinary human. Technology has advanced so much nowadays, so unbelievable. The judge is about to cry. How the witness testimony seems unrelated to the case. Exactly because it's unrelated, it seems especially strange. Now, some points worth attention in the witness testimony. I mean, if we do agree that the only way to smuggle the vest out is by using cyan, there's a problem with like her watching the series TV during the whole afternoon. I also think there might be something missing in her words. As a robot, she won't lie voluntarily unless commanded by someone, right? Maybe she just didn't remember. Now, the memory of a robot is different from a human's. There shouldn't be a forgetting situation. Anyway, Your Honor, the defense requests questioning. No problem. Okay, so we want to attack on the afternoon. I remember there's no TV in the research center. I mean, who needs a TV? Just stick my fingers into the circuit interface and I can access all the information on the internet. I can't believe it. If only I had that capability too. Can't help but imagine the judge with tracks attached. So you spent the entire afternoon watching TV series and did nothing else. That's right. You did not take a single break while watching the series. Of course not, even though the series was meaningless once I start, I just can't stop. I can vouch for it with my tracks. But you don't even like those tracks. I think this is a very important statement. I hope it can be added to the testimony. Okay, and so now... Wait. Because I wanted to attack with the idea that, like... I mean, she had to leave at some point, like, to smuggle the vest out, but we don't have any direct evidence for that, so we need to go through something else, and I think this is it. The TV series may be meaningless, but they were attractive, so I just kept watching. Okay. Anyway, there must be what Alt often mentioned as anime only for adults. Oh my god. Prosecutor Schubert, who pretended to be asleep, seems to have choked on his own saliva. Anime only for adults, what's that exactly? You don't want to know. Just a slip of the tongue of Annie, please don't mind. Anime only for adults? Absolutely not. What I watched was a thought-provoking humanistic sci-fi series. Without interruption. Okay, so we just want to say that, like, it doesn't make any sense because of the outage. Although I believe you wouldn't lie, your testimony just doesn't hold up. Huh? And why? Well, you claim that on the day of the incident you were watching a TV series without interruption. But that's impossible. Take a look at the power monitoring records from the center on that day. From 4:28 to 4:34 that afternoon, there was a brief blackout covering the entire center. Except for the backup power of a few devices, the rest were in a blackout. Yesterday, when we met at the center, you told me that you couldn't stream shows during a blackout. So why were you watching during the blackout? I have no idea. Wow. Order! There was indeed a brief blackout at the center on the day of the incident, as several witnesses have testified. Although the blackout was short, it was unreasonable that you, actively using electrical devices, were completely unaware. But I really have no memory of the blackout. That doesn't make sense. Can robots also forget things? Of course not. All our experiences are stored in the central system in form of images and data. Even if the core controlling my personality forgets, the chips throughout our body couldn't have no records. Records. I'm not familiar with how robots work. But if it's records, then they can be manipulated or deleted. Well, they can, but how could it be? I just reviewed all the records from the day of the incident. I found something incredible. What is it? On the afternoon of the incident, from 4 to 4:48. In my memory database, there's no record at all. What? Order. I'm having trouble keeping up. What does no records mean? Well, at 4:48 that day, my system was suddenly rebooted. For a whole 48 minutes, it's like I lost a piece of memory. All the records during that time were erased. So Miss Cyan, you have no idea where you were or what you did during that time. I only remember being in the workshop watching a TV series before 4, but at 4:48, I was standing at the entrance of the lobby on the first floor watching the heavy rain outside. And did you find it strange at the time? Well, I often participate in various modification experiments at the center, so occasionally memory confusion is normal. After the reboot, I checked my body and didn't find any major issues, so I didn't pay much attention. And did you find any minor issues? It's not really an issue, nothing serious, a small issue like this. What's wrong with your belly? Do we need a doctor? After the reboot, I noticed the hatch around here was a bit loose, but there was nothing inside the compartment, so I didn't pay much attention. It's a crucial information. Miss Cyan, from the day of the incident until now, have you taken a bath? How could I? Are you trying to make me short-circuit and explode? That's not what I meant. I mean if your body hasn't been cleaned, there might be some traces. The defense requests an on-the-spot examination of Miss Cyan. And we should check for blood stain, obviously. Could you please perform a luminal test on the abdominal compartment of Miss Cyan? Alright, I totally forgot about that. I don't quite understand the reason, but please proceed. There is indeed a luminal reaction in the witness body. Defense, what does that mean? It seems my earlier deduction has been confirmed. The blood stains in Miss Cyan's abdomen were left by the metal vest covered with the blood of the director. What? So witness, are you actually an accomplice? It's impossible. If I violate the third law, I will be dismantled for sure. Miss Cyan, no need to panic. I'll prove your innocence. Indeed, the missing piece of the puzzle in this convoluted case is Cyan. As for what happened during the missing 48 minutes in Miss Cyan's memory, I think I have figured it out. Really? First, the murderer used the electromagnetic wall to kill the director who was wearing the metal gear. To cover up the crime scene, the murderer placed the metal vest inside of Miss Cyan and then went through the metal detector and carried it outside of the lab. Well, this conclusion aligns with your earlier statement. However, what Miss Cyan transported might not just be the metal vest. That thing is too large to fit in your belly. I'm afraid this is the only explanation for why that thing ran into an irrational position. Specifically, the other item Miss Cyan transported was... What? Eh? Are we winning? I don't know here. What Miss Cyan transported might not just be the metal vest. Did I have something else in my belly? That thing is too large to fit in your belly. But that was a joke, right? I'm afraid this is the only explanation for why that thing ran into an irrational position. An irrational position? You were... I don't understand. Snatch for sounding grey. Inside of the lug is scorched, likely to short circuit when powered. Doesn't make any sense. What? I don't see what we need to do here. What would you put like inside of like her? It cannot be like the crack helmet, it cannot be the controller. The cleaning robot was found in the room, so it doesn't make sense. I don't know. It doesn't make sense. I don't know. Handcart used for transporting equipment within the center. Oh, wait. Oh, that's the thing, right? That's what... Okay. Transported was like a bit weird, like... it's just like the wording of like the localization, because like I was understanding like, she would have like another item in her belly, but no. What she means probably is that like somebody hooked the handcart to her. Oh, but that doesn't make any sense. Like, isn't Zoe the one like putting the corpse on the handcart? Or was the... I don't understand. And a broken hook. I don't know. It makes sense. And then she would like just leave everything in the ware room, right? I don't exactly know here, it's a bit weird. But I don't see what else she could have brought. Like this stayed in the room, This doesn't make any sense, And you need to do that like before, no, it doesn't. Oh. I'll go for that and we'll see what happens. The handcart for carrying the victim's body. On the end of the handcart is connected to the rope and a hook. If the handcart was pushed by human hands, these features wouldn't be necessary. I believe that after the incident, the handcart was hung behind Miss Cyan. Yeah, okay. So Miss Cyan pulled the director out like a cow pulling a cart. That captures the general idea. The murderer intended for Miss Cyan to transport the director's body and the metal vest to the gate of the center. Later, the hook accidentally broke, leaving the handcart abandoned at the stockroom entrance. Even though my memory during that time was deleted, I would never transport a body. Due to the third law, you would rush to save the critically injured director once you saw him. However, what if you couldn't see him while pulling the handcart? I don't understand. She's different from human. She's a robot that strictly follows commands. By cleverly using a certain command, you could make her assist in handling the scene without her knowing. It's a bit weird, like why would she bring the corpse like to the front? Because the goal was to put it in the pit, right? The goal was to set the... Oh, I see, I understand. So, let's say that Swording wanted to bring the corpse and put it on the pit, but he couldn't like use... He said like, he issued a command like, you know, probably like go like towards the pit, the construction pit outside and do not look back. Something like this. And Swordin would be there to like throw the metal vest and to like throw the body in the pit. But he would have seen, no? I don't understand. It's a bit weird. The timing is a bit weird. I'm missing something. I don't know what. To make Miss Cyan transport a body without violating the third laws, the murderers just needed to instruct her to do not look back. Keep her walking straight, never look back. As long as Miss Cyan didn't see the critically injured director behind her, she would continue to move the body by order. This is absurd. Even if the witness has instructed not to look back, if there's a handcuff hanging behind her, as you say, how could a witness not feel it? The witness is not an ordinary human, so we cannot use common sense to understand a robot's feelings. Even if what you said is true, making the witness walk to the door without turning her head is not easy. The witness cannot drag a handcart and move between floors without turning her head. But it can be achieved in this specially designed research center. Yeah, we kind of discussed that, like, everything is in a straight line. Can really be done. Please take a look at this house plan. Miss San dragged a handcart carrying the director from the electromagnetic lab. If the hook hadn't broken, Miss San would have gone through the hallway and entered the elevator. The crucial part here is that for the convenience of moving large equipment, this elevator has double doors. After pushing the handcart to the first floor by elevator, San could get to the doorway directly without turning or looking back. I got it. In that case, the deduction that the murderer used Miss San to handle the scene makes sense. No sense at all. The defense proposal route may be viable, but it's completely unnecessary. And why? Handling a murder scene, especially something as significant as moving a body, the murderer could well do it by themselves. Untrusting the robot not only requires efforts, but also introduces various uncertainties. Well, indeed, if the murderer used their hands to push the handcart to the door, the hook detachment wouldn't have happened. Why would this so-called murderer bother doing something so laborious and risky? I mean, you have an alibi to create, right? I haven't thought this far ahead. Why are you suddenly silent? Do you have another idea? I was wondering if the murderer might have encountered something urgent and had to leave. Like if their phone rang, or they had to answer it, or something. Well, dealing with a murder scene is much more important than answering a phone call. No one would leave a body just like that. Unless this matter is more important than the murderer than moving the body. On that afternoon, beside the murder, was there any unexpected events to the center? Well, in addition to Prosecutor Schubert's question, I have an even more question to you. You insist that the real murderer is not Zoe Sapphire, but you haven't clearly pointed out who it is. Do you have any idea about the identity of the so-called real murderer? Well, yeah, I can't avoid this question anymore. I should be able to draw a conclusion. Your Honor, at this stage of the trial, the defense naturally has its own speculations. Accusing someone of murder is not trivial. Before stating your conclusion, are you aware of the punishment? That's a lot. I arrived at the crime scene after the incident. In other words, the murderer must be one of the members who has been working in the center. I mean, we are going for the swordsman, right? When I opened the electrical box, sure enough, the breaker had tripped, so I turned it on. Unfortunately, my mind was completely occupied by the research center's affairs, that's all. The director's ultimate goal was to design ultra-realistic robots that are identical to humans. And I've searched through my diaries and only found some of the experiments the director conducted on me. Miss White has a pitiful background. I'm just serving justice and do what I can to help her. That's the least thing I can do. Okay, we are going for swording, right? This is Mr. Gray. The defense baseless accusations hold no credibility. Your Honor, and Prosecutor Schubert, whether it's baseless or not, please allow me to finish before making a judgment. Firstly, this case is meticulously designed to kill the director in the EM lab clad in the metal protective gear. It's a kind of trap murder. Such a method could only be carried out by someone familiar with the center structure. Secondly, to involve Miss San in handling the scene and to delete her related memories in time, the murderer also needs to have the authority to manage robots. Just this alone excludes the defendant, who is just an intern. But there are several people who met those two conditions. That's right, but Prosecutor Schubert just raised an important question. Why couldn't this person handle the scene personally? With such meticulous planning, yet such a major loophole occurring in the first stage, the only reasonable explanation is that the murderer encountered some kind of accident while handling the scene, so she or he had to stop to deal with it. If I'm not mistaken, the accident happened to be recorded by a piece of evidence. What do you mean? Absolutely. Because of Emily White's sudden scream, the murderer had to go to her room and see what happened. And the testimony this person gave in court also confirms this. The one who attaches such great significance to Emily White's safety could only be the researcher who has been with her for years, Sword in Grey. Order. Defense, this accusation is serious business. The reasons you just stated are only speculation, not evidence. I have more evidence, but some details need to be clarified by confronting him directly. Well, the request seems reasonable enough. Prosecutor Schubert, what's your opinion? Sword in Grey is already a recorded witness of the prosecution, so we can bring him back to court without further procedures. But what if the defense cannot prove his connection to the case? Well, we won't know until we try. Once the accusation is made, there is no turning back. If Sword in Grey is ultimately proven innocent, the prosecution can request an immediate verdict from this court. Is that serious? I understand. After questioning this researcher, the case will definitely be closed. Your Honor, can we summon the witness now? Well, since Prosecutor Schubert has no objections, witness Sword in Grey, please take the stand again. Okay, that should be the final push, right? Did you hear everything that was discussed just now? Though my hearing may not match that of the wise, I can still discern the meaning behind the words. So you understand your current position now, right? That's for sure, but I am but an ordinary citizen, blameless and innocent. How can I bear such an unjust accusation? Your Excellency, please ensure justice is served for the humble one. This isn't an ancient magistrate's office. The gavel in my hand represents the law, not my personal judgment. +2. If you believe the defense accusation is meaningless, then you must confront her yourself. I see. Your Excellency's guidance is appreciated. Lady Barrister, I have no grudge against you. Then how could you be so heartless? For the sake of victory, you maliciously framed an innocent man. What malice do I bear? Of course I have no grudge against you, but the facts are undeniable. All the evidence currently points to you alone. You better admit it. How can I accept such slander? I have something to say, so please listen. Okay. Are you accusing me of murdering the director? It's impossible. As Sir Goldstein said, it was a tragic accident. The director had peculiar quirks and was a bit forgetful. Therefore, he inadvertently went to the wrong place, leading to the tragedy. Do not falsely accuse anyone inside the center because of this accident. I mean, we know he, I mean, it's a bit hard to say, but not only am I wrongly accused, but Lady Zoe, who sits in the defendant's seat, is also unjustly treated. I hope Your Excellency can see through this situation. So he really just went for like an accident kind of thing. No, because he would like bring the corpse in the pit, so he wanted to accuse someone. I thought that every murderer would try to shift the blame onto others. But from this perspective, Mr. Grey seems like a good person. A good person wouldn't set traps and take lives. I mean, he not only avoids the true cause of the director's death, but also dare to mention Sign's missing memories. Dare not mention Sign's missing memories. It's very interesting how like Luna is very like straightforward by the book. I won't let him get away with it so easily. Defense, what's your opinion on the witness testimony? Well, I don't agree at all. Please allow me to question him. Yes, but proceed quickly. I don't exactly know what to attack, to be honest. There's nothing to say here. It was a tragic accident, peculiar quirks, and was a bit forgetful. Went to the wrong place, leading to the tragedy. This is not what I wanted to attack, but okay. You're throwing that term around too casually. I spent my life upholding justice, yet Lady Barrister is trying to incriminate me with her words. If this isn't false accusation, then what is it? You will see when I present the evidence. So what do you mean by going to the wrong place? Are you saying that the victim forgot his experimental schedule due to his bad memory? Exactly. Okay, so now we know that we can tag this. Previously, Mr. Goldstein claimed that the victim mistook the floor due to the vibrations during the blackout. What do you think? So Goldstein's words have some senses, but if we follow that line of reasoning, there will be too many coincidences. In my humble opinion, the director just forgot the schedule for the day, leading him to enter the electromagnetical lab by mistake. Well, that sounds strange. The director, despite his extraordinary intelligence, was prone to mistakes and forgetfulness amidst his busy schedule. Was Mr. Crimson really that forgetful? Well, I doubt it, but proving that he didn't forget something is not easy. However, is there any evidence showing that he cared a lot about this matter? Yeah, okay, so we are going for like a sort of like circumstantial like evidence by presenting this. Well, stop your game of buying time now. Although you've rebranded the overturned theory of Mr. Goldstein, you cannot change the fact that this is a lie. Lady Barrister, making baseless claims is not the act of a righteous person. Do you have any evidence to refute my claim? Actually, do you recognize this notebook? Is this a belonging of Joseph Crimson? That's right, the victim used it to jot down his schedule, like a memo, and this page happens to detail the director's arrangement on the day of the incident. Exactly, it states clearly on the notebook, 4:30 p.m., electrochemical lab, EEG experiment, remember to wear the metal vest and helmet. The victim meticulously recorded his plan for the day in the memo. So how could he casually forget where to go, as the witness claimed? Proving whether the victim forgot something or not is difficult, but the notebook the defense submitted is an important evidence. I believe that he would not forget his experiment schedule when making such a clear memo. Your Excellency, that's not right. Lady Barrister is just speculating, and I can't prove that the director didn't err. Maybe he didn't check the notebook that day. I knew you would say that. Whether he checked the notebook or not, Director Crimson going to the wrong lab wasn't a simple mistake. Such a strong statement. Can you prove that the victim's entering the wrong lab wasn't due to reason of his own? Of course, it's due to the murderer's meticulous planning that the victim went on the wrong lab. Two pieces of evidence prove it. The victim was duped into the wrong lab, walked on blindly, and was killed. Okay, so that's where we are using the argument of like the name of the rooms being swapped. Two pieces of evidence, submit them now. The first piece of evidence can prove the victim's entering the wrong lab wasn't due to his own reasons. So that would be those door plates. Accepted. And please submit the second piece of evidence, defense. I guess that's like the cable, because that would trick him into thinking that it is the biochemical lab. What? Your Honor, and everyone present, please carefully observe the door plate of the two labs. If you look carefully, you will find QR codes printed on them. Oh, indeed, this is the research center's Facebook account. You didn't even know about that, but this is not a Facebook account. As we all know, the human eye cannot scan QR codes. It is used for cleaning robot inside the center to identify its location. This is the last entry in the work log of cleaning robot Moonlit Pyramid found in the EM lab after the incident. 4:33, enter the biochemical laboratory, cleaning started. Exactly, at the moment when power was restored, Moonlit Pyramid was cleaning the EM lab. It's most likely made of metal, so when the electromagnetic wall was electrified. Oops. It got stuck to the wall along the victim, resulting in damage. In other words, Money Pyramid is the second victim in the case. The second victim? Well, oddly, the work log of this robot shows that it entered the biochemical lab. That's right, because the only way for the cleaning robot to recognize its location is by scanning the QR code on the door plate. Connecting these facts, the only possibility is that around 4:30 on the incident day, the door plate of the electromagnetical lab and the biochemical lab were in a swapped state. Sorting Gray, with such clear evidence, do you still insist that it was an accident? I'm speechless. Order. Indeed, this evidence is sufficient to prove that the door plates of the labs were swapped. Thus, the court has no choice but to accept the fact that this is a murder case. Witness, do you have anything else to say? He is popping off. What is he doing? The highest level of martial arts in the world is to win without using any techniques. Since you insist on forcing me here, I naturally have to show some real skills. Lady Barrister is eloquent, I truly admire that. However, killing the director is beyond human capabilities. And why? Merely swapping door plates cannot set up such a trap. Controlling everything precisely, killing with expertise, not to mention me, but no one in the world can achieve that. What? Even though you still want to deny it? It's not a denial, I just want to explain and clarify for Lady Barrister and Your Excellency. So you have more to say. Indeed, Lady Barrister's reasoning seems reasonable, but it is far from the truth. May I ask everyone to listen to my words again? Okay, so what are you coming with as an excuse? Lady Barrister said someone swapped the door plates of the two laboratories to mislead the director. Let's assume that it is true. The fundamental reason, however, has nothing to do with the door plates. The locations of the two labs are identical, except one is on the second floor and the other on the third. It was a pure coincidence that Director Crimson got to the floor wrong as he encountered the blackout in the elevator. Unless the murderer had supernatural foresight, how could they have timed the blackout so precisely? So very easy, we know that Crimson had its experience at 4:30 sharp, and we have found this plug in Sorting's garbage bin that was used to provoke the short circuit. The timing of the blackout? If the murderer cannot control the timing of the blackout, Mr. Crimson wouldn't have entered the wrong floor. Even if the door plates were swapped, it wouldn't have mattered, right? Yeah, I understand what he means, but thanks to you, Annie, this excuse will soon fall apart. Thanks to me? Well, Your Honor, the defense is ready to question. Okay, so let's push here. Time, and we want to present the burn plug. Witness, have you heard of an idiom? That is to dig one's own grave. What do you mean, Lady Barrister? You just said the killer couldn't have timed the blackout so accurately, didn't you? Unfortunately, the blackout didn't require any calculation because it was never an accident. Your Honor, please look at this piece of evidence. But that's the thing I snatched yesterday. That is a plug. It looks like it already burned out. Yes, the circuit in the research center is constantly running at full capacity, so if there's a short circuit in any part of it, it will immediately cause an overload, resulting in a blackout throughout the entire building. The burn plug exactly proved that it is the cause of the short circuit. How did you get that? Thanks to my assistant, Annie. No wonder you were so anxious after all. It was found in your office. Interesting pose here. Order. Witness. That was you who caused the blackout in the center on the day of the incident. The plug is found in Swording Gray's office. Just by fingerprint verification, we can find out whether it was used or not. Just by connecting this plug to the circuit after Dr. Crimson entered the elevator, he could trap him inside precisely. And the internal phone in the elevator connected directly to the witness office. As long as you rush back to your office in time, answer the distress call from the director, and tell him the elevator has reached the second floor, please wait for the door to open, the death trap would be set. Wait, I was in my training room at the time of the incident. How could I know when Dr. Crimson entered the elevator? The training room. Were you really there at that time? Of course. Witness, you claim to be in your office at that time. Do you have any evidence? Okay, so we have the moment where Silas is seeking the truth. If you cannot prove that, the lady lawyer can find countless reasons to suspect you. For example, when the victim entered the elevator, you might have been hiding in the stairwell on the third floor. That position allows you to have a clear view of the director's movement and return to your office in time to pick up the phone. The prosecution has already investigated, and there is indeed a socket in the stairwell that can be used. What's going on? Even Prosecutor Schubert finds the witness suspicious. Is Mr. Prosecutor helping us? I'm confused too, but let's see how things go. Sir Schubert, why is that? I was not under the impression that the prosecutor and the witness should be aligned. I was under the impression that we should be aligned on the same front. Same. My position is never influenced by others, let alone your claims differ from those of the prosecution. I just want to tell you, you should speak based on truth and evidence in court. Is that right, Your Honor? Of course. Very well. The evidence the defense presented for her hypothesis earlier is not sufficient yet, but we will leave it later. However, since you insist on accusing this witness, I assume you have thought through the case. I suppose so. Well, then tell me. The witness has worked under the victim for many years. What was his motive for murder? Well, considering the director's Crimson personality, it's not surprising that there was some conflict between them. What you call not surprising is merely your speculation. That's not evidence. I'm really tired of playing this discordant symphony with you. Sorting Gray's motive for murder, I do have some conjectures, but is it really okay to reveal everything in court? Prosecutor Schubert's doubt is also mine. While motive is not necessarily to establish guilt, it is an important consideration. If you want to accuse the witness and exonerate the defendant, you need to prove his motive. Okay. A series of tragedies within the center all seem to have originated from Sky Shield. At this point, I cannot avoid it anymore. The defendant believes that Sorting Gray had a very compelling motive for killing Director Crimson. He took action against the director not out of personal grudges, but for the sake of someone else. Hold on, Lady Barrister, you can suspect me, but there is no need to involve others. Some things can be evaded for a while, but not forever. Didn't you have any foresight of the current situation? Sorting Gray has always shown extraordinary care and concern for that person. Combining the information we have now, his motive is very clear. A bit too straightforward again, but... Your Honor, I believe the reason the witness took such drastic measures against the victim is entirely because of this person. This is the witness of yesterday. It is true that I have a close relationship with Lady Remily, but what does it have to do with this case? Lady Barrister, please refrain from continuing to falsely accuse me and unrelated individuals. Unrelated? Are you sure? Are you going to deny? You know the true reason behind Remily White's loss of her parents and head injury. It was Sky Shield, the well-known criminal organization. Wasn't it because of a traffic incident I said yesterday? No, it was just a white lie to Miss White, and the victim has been confirmed that he had connection with that organization, which is enough to be the motive. So what? The association between the director and Sky Shield was revealed in court just now. Both the metal badge and the director's account records are in the hand of Mr. Goldstein until just now. The witness couldn't have obtained those information before the incident. You're right, the metal badge and account records are indeed beyond Sword Gray's reach. However, there is another evidence in the center that can prove the connection between Director Crimson and Sky Shield. Is there really more? The metal badge and account records are indirect evidence, making it difficult to understand their connection. The deputy director has been suspecting the director before understanding their meaning. The evidence making Sword Gray immediately suspect the director's identity must be something more direct. The defense believes that the evidence that can prove the association between Director Crimson and Sky Shield is the controller that was received the morning of the incident. What is that black box? This is a remote control for a high-powered bomb. With a bomb? Where's the judge? Your Honor, the bomb corresponding to the remote control went missing several years ago. Please come from under the table. Missing? Wait, didn't you say that earlier? You haven't had the chance yet. Anyway, this remote control is related to an old case. On March 10th, 2019, Miss White, who was only 15 years old at the time, was traveling in the Republic of Neon with her parents. Unfortunately, they encountered an attack at the Cube Stadium, which was launched by Sky Shield. The 310 Cube Stadium explosion. I've also heard about that incident. It was in the headlines for many days. You mean Miss White and her family were victims of that incident? Yes, the incident has devastating consequences. Miss White's parents lost their lives and she suffered a head injury. Although the explosion was not caused by this remote control, its picture happened to be featured in the newspaper. The day before the incident, the World Times clearly stated that this remote control could be in the hand of Sky Shield. Mr. Gray likely discovered it at the director's Crimson place, leading him to not only suspect the director's ties to Sky Shield, but also believe him to be the mastermind behind the explosion 6 years ago. I'm not making these claims out of thin air. Relevant details have been recorded in the torn page of Miss White's diary. Sword Gray and Miss Goldstein discussed this topic shortly before the incident. So defense, what's your point? Well, the witness has developed a deep bond with Miss White akin to siblings over these years. His motive is to seek revenge on behalf of Miss White and execute the mastermind responsible for the loss of her parents and memories. The director of the research center, Joseph Crimson. Order. Witness, what do you want to say regarding the defense conjecture? Emily, Dr. Crimson, judging by his reaction, I must have hit the mark. Your Honor, the defense has successfully proven the witness' suspicion from motive to method. I hope you reevaluate the case and provide...
Also.
Of course. Well, it seems the defense has finally presented all the evidence. What? As the prosecution didn't verify the potential Sky Shield ties of this witness, I had to let the defense disclose more details. Now it appears that the tumor within this research center is likely limited to Director Crimson alone. So he was just pretending to be on my side earlier. In that case, the prosecution sees no need to change our stance on this case. We have only one response to the defense claims. All overruled. Not again? We have experienced that several times before. This time we cannot let him unilaterally output his viewpoints. Pay attention. I must seize loopholes in his words and counterattack. Is this like the final confrontation or whatever? Classic prosecution moment. Wait for the last moment. I'll do a save, just in case. And hi, Sky, I hope that you're alright.
辩护方至今为止指控证人的所有主张都还停留在臆测的阶段。检控方
反对，我已经做好准备了。这一次，我不会让你轻易驳倒我
You're
的。
good. I hope you. I am as well. I'm also doing good. I think it's still hot. It's still very hot, and I can feel that I'm tired, a bit numb. I have like tingling in the fingertips. I think like because of the heat and a little bit of like tiredness. But we are doing fine, so I'm doing fine.
不光是乌雅剑侠，被告同样可能获知了死者与天盾关联，从而酝酿作案。
There's nothing to say about that. And plotted the crime, okay?
被告毕竟才来不久，他甚至可能是为了向死者复仇而特地混进研究所。
To seek revenge against the victim. Why?
实验室的门牌上已经不存在任何痕迹。
No traces left on the laboratory's door plate, making it impossible to determine who swapped them. True.
至于短路事件，被告距离电闸更近，他有更丰富的手段达成同样的效果。
Was closer. Had the means to achieve the same goal. Yeah, but like it has been asked by Swordin, right?
距离电闸箱更近，检方也没有找到任何他曾经操作过电路的证物。而这个插头，却是我们在乌雅。
Yeah, we know he was the one doing it, right?
它的存在不可被忽视。
反对。
And he was the one asking for her to
只是有可能制造
to reboot the power.
核地被使用过。
I mean, true, I guess, but you can't prove otherwise, though.
在制造短路这件事上，乌雅剑侠的嫌疑也比我的委托人大。
True, strong.
反对，这可未必。被告可以在完成行凶后，伺机将插头放入乌雅剑侠的办公室。
I mean, acceptable,
甚
but
至有可能一开始他就发现了办公室内的这个插头，他只是借用了一下。
huh.
这简直是强词夺理。
I mean, he's making a good point, like.
是不是强词夺理？凭你手上的证物根本无法证明，这正是检方一切的逻辑基点。你的所有推论都来自承认真凶另有其人。
That's kind of our problem. We don't have like any conclusive evidence that would push. No, our conclusive evidence. We talk about our conclusive evidence.
完满的解释一切。
We know this is our conclusive evidence. I think this is our conclusive evidence. He was cut. The only way for you to be cut at this point, as per my theory, was by being cut on this. So you just have to do a check on the crack helmet, and we will find the DNA of Swordin. This is the defense position. Secretly observe the victim entering the elevator. Not impossible. Buying time to let the elevator switch to the backup power supply. Not wrong. On the same floor. The defendant is closest to the scene. Again, yeah, but like he's using the same argument. Carried out by the defendant. And even more conveniently. Your evidence cannot absolve the defendant of suspicion, let alone accuse Swordin Grey. Okay, what is one thing that only Grey could have done in the thing? Oh wait, it's this, right? She couldn't have done the thing with... Like, we do acknowledge that, like... Cyan was ordered to carry the handcart. But she doesn't have, Zoe doesn't have like the necessary permission to do that. So we need to press on 4. Okay, so we need to press here. Okay, this is not what I wanted to do. I wanted to verify like the wording, but that you imagine could have been carried out by the defendant. No,
反对，
it couldn't.
不对，这个计划中有一个关键行为是乌雅剑侠能做到，但是被告无法做到的。
Exactly.
哦，那么就听你具体说一说，到底是哪个行为吧。
整个行凶计划中
In the entire plot, what the defendant Zoe Sapphire cannot do is committing sign to help handle the crime scene. They show the rest is okay.
那就是让青英帮忙处理现场
Good.
搬运尸体。被告还只是一个实习生，他没有命令青英的权限。
No authority to commit sign.
那又如何？
So what?
什么？
命令青英搬运死者，本就是你站在被告
No,
无罪的前提。
because like the hook wouldn't make any sense otherwise.
然而青英的记忆已经被删除，唯一切实
Her
的
memory
证
has been erased, and the only tangible evidence is the liminal reaction in her abdominal cabin. I mean, you have a lot of like, I do understand that it's like circumstantial like elements, but like there's a lot of them. To be fair.
可以直接连接乌雅剑侠与案件的证据。辩护方到现在也未能提交出一件。
Cute.
综上所述，
In conclusion,
辩护方的种种推论，不但对指控证人无益，反而让被告的嫌疑更加深重。
怎么会这样啊？
a very classic dub. Although I'm still confused, Prosecutor Schubert's words make sense. Defense, the accusations against the witness are not entirely unreasonable. Oops. But I have not seen a single piece of evidence that directly links him to the murder. We wouldn't accept accusation without evidence. The situation has certainly been overturned. I think they did manage to make something interesting, like it was pretty easy to understand what was happening after the second day of investigation, but they made the trial pretty interesting, I think. But every piece is indirect. I need a decisive evidence to eliminate Zoe Sapphire's suspicion and convict Swording Grey. The judge is considering to dismiss the witness. We have to do something. But we have run out of cards. We can't return to the research center for more evidence at this moment. Is it possible we obtain decisive evidence without returning to the research center? Well, if so, the evidence can only be found in this courtroom. How can I retreat at this moment? Following this line of thought, there might be a breakthrough. It's time to organize the case like chief. Let's go back to the sea. Okay. In this case, Swording Grey set a trap to kill Director Crimson remotely. He first swapped the door plates of the biochemical and EM labs and had Zoe deliver materials to the wrong rooms. Upon Director Crimson entering the elevator, he promptly connected the faulty plug to a circuit, resulting in a blackout. Trapped in the elevator, Director Crimson was misled by the internal phone into believing that he had arrived on the second floor. Director Crimson entered the wrong lab in the metal protective gear. Then, Mr. Grey had Sophie Sapphire turn on the circuit breaker. When the murder was done, he planned to enter the EM lab to move the body and destroy the evidence. Due to various unexpected incidents, he had to summon Cyan to assist in handling the scene. That night, the fingerprints and blood stains in the EM lab were totally cleaned by the automatic cleaning system. The cunningness of the murder lies in the fact that the murderer was not present when the crime occurred. Almost every step leaves no decisive evidence. It is really difficult to prove that Swording Grey is the murderer. But no, it's too early to give up. Let me try to approach this from a different angle. In the whole process of murder, which step is most likely to have a flow? During the handling, right? Which means like after the crime has been committed and you need to clean everything is what they mean, right? So after the crime. That's right, this plan was meticulously crafted. Sordin Grey had ample time to set up the trap, so it's unlikely for him to make a mistake at this stage. And he wasn't present when the murder occurred, so there can't be any evidence left. The only possible flaw must be left behind after the murder occurred. After all, an unexpected incident happened. Wait a minute. It occurred to me that I overlooked a flaw. There should be some evidence pointing out the small flaw left by Sordin Grey after the incident. Do we have something? This is pretty straightforward here. We just have like information on like his schedule. And here, do we have like anything interesting? That anywhere? No, this is the fragment from like when she was young. I guess this is it. Like this is now we're using that argument. Okay. That's it. In Remily White's diary, it recorded the incident of his injured finger, which should have happened after the crime. I think they did a good job to conceal that particular information. Not conceal, but like misdirect. Is it Sordin Grey's flaw? Perhaps he injured his hand while handling the crime scene. But even if he injured his hand, it doesn't make any difference to the case. Now I need to think out of the box, just like Chief. Instead of considering what would happen when his hand got injured, let's think about why he would get injured. I need to carefully recall what was present at the crime scene. What is the most likely cause for Sordin Grey's head injury? So we know it's the helmet. That's it. He didn't have a fight with the victim, and the injury that we cannot catch with the naked eye in court is probably minor. If it's as mentioned in Remily White's diary, something at the crime scene could have cut Sordin Grey's finger. Could only be the cracked helmet, right? With this evidence... Well, it has been 2 days since the crime occurred. His wound has probably healed. It might be useless to conduct a medical examination on the injury. Oh wait, there's no blood because it has been cleaned by the auto-cleaning thingy, right? So there's no blood and probably no fingerprints here. Furthermore, the helmet was cleaned with biochemical agent, leaving no traces. Okay, it seems we're back at the origin. I mean, it's like we will ask probably like Remily to testify that he had a cut. I mean, it doesn't, but this is like still circumstantial, to be honest. Let me think again, according to what I saw and heard during the investigation. Such a sharp, weird shape and metal material. So badly damaged. The edge of that thing are really sharp. So where did the debris came from? What debris? What kind of trace could Sordin Grey have left when he was injured? What? That doesn't mean anything. This doesn't mean anything. What am I supposed to... What kind of trace could Sordin Grey have left when he was injured? Still blood... It feels like I'm playing Connect, you know, only Connect, but like... Severely damaged, sharp, unique shape. What kind of trace could Sordin Grey have left when he was injured? Blood stains, I guess, but... Severely damaged. He died wearing the helmet. The helmet ended up in that shape. Naturally, it would be stained with blood. It was cut by the helmet covered in the victim's blood. So it's possible his wound was stained with the victim's blood. Wounds will heal, but there may be traces left when he handled the wound at that time. Will also be the breakthrough we need. Sergeant Gray set up a series of traps carefully, cleaning up all the traces. He almost made a perfect crime. If this little accident hadn't occurred, perhaps there would be no way to catch him. This must be the final piece of evidence. The evidence that directly links Sergeant Gray to the victim's death is... I don't understand the line of reasoning. This case is finally reaching its end. So I don't really understand. Like, hi, hello, welcome back, Memory. I don't understand how we are who are playing this. How is like the Band-Aid a conclusive and like decisive evidence? Because a conclusive evidence would have been the blood on the helmet. But like, oh no, it's kind of a gamble, right? It's like you gamble the fact that like the blood of like the director was on the on his finger, and probably like if we go on his garbage bin or whatever, we can find like the Band-Aid bag and try to examine the blood on it and see that there's like the blood of the victim, I guess. My exact experience playing some Phoenix Wright cases. I mean, here I think it's like, it depends how like they will frame like the resolution, but I think it's more about like, it's less me being mistaken and more me thinking that there's some kind of inconsistency in the writing, and that it is not as decisive as I think it is, or like it relies so much on luck. We'll see. Oh, he's still wearing his Band-Aid, by the way. You take a gamble, because it's we do agree that like it's might, right? There might be blood here, but like you're taking a gamble that isn't a surefire stratagem. But okay, I guess. I just noticed that there is a Band-Aid on your right thumb. May I ask when you got injured? When deeply immersed in my training, I accidentally injured my hand. I mean my finger. It happened a considerable time ago. Well, in that case, could you please remove the Band-Aid and let the bailiff examine the bloodstains on it? What an unreasonable request. I'm afraid I cannot comply. Unreasonable. No, it could be a great opportunity to prove your innocence. What do you mean? Well, since the wound is an accident from yourself, the blood on the Band-Aid must be your own, right? That's correct. But if there is blood of someone else on it, like the victim, how would you explain that? I'm sorry, I don't understand. What do you mean by that? Well, the witness has finally realized it. The defense believes that the witness's finger was likely injured while handling the crime scene. If the victim's blood is found on his Band-Aid, it proves that he was holding an object soaked in the victim's blood when his finger was cut. What an unreasonable accusation. Whether it is unreasonable or not, we'll know once it's examined in court.
反对。
It's a bit weird, right? Like you wouldn't put like a Band-Aid without cleaning your wound first, they sure? Which is my problem. It's like there's so many layers of like chance happening in here. It's like he needed to touch like the blood of the victim while handling the helmet, and then Remily White would have to not clean like the wound. It seems like a bit strange, or am I completely like mistaken? My finger was injured long before Director Crimson's death, and the Band-Aid was bought on the same day I got hurt. I kinda often don't bother cleaning. Don't do that. You should disinfect your wound. I mean, like if it's like a small wound, I think you can get away with just like, put some water and stuff or something like that. But like, as the streamer, I'm contractually forced to say that you should disinfect your wound. If you do not do it, it's not my problem, but like it would be good to disinfect. But I do understand that like if it's a small wound, maybe you want to not do that. Although it can lead to some issue if you do not disinfect and that if you let like the wound open and you do not put like a band-aid or something, it's kind of like crazy. But like I get it, I guess. But again, do disinfect. I need to say that, it's important. Indeed, it's difficult to prove when your finger was injured. However, the origin of the band-aid can be traced. Do you have any evidence to present? I mean, we have the band-aid package. It's more like I just don't have the time at work. I guess it's the case, but like this is again like it's... Let's say it's not your fault. We are back again at it's capitalism fault that you don't have the time to clean your wound.
就是他。
Witness, is the band-aid on your hand really bought by yourself? Please take a look at the package of the band-aid and the receipt with the purchase time. 5:34 on the day of the crime. Isn't that right after the crime took place? Yes, this package was found in Remedy White's room. There happens to be one missing from it. She wrote clearly in her diary that she helped you treat your wound. So this is, she kind of treated the wound here. There are many ways to prove that the band-aid on your hand came from that package. Even so, are you still going to deny it? Oh, interesting. Or maybe the game is going for like, we tricked you into like admitting your culpability, your crime, but like it's a bluff and actually there's nothing on like your band-aid or something like this.
反对。
The defense didn't refute our accusation against the defendant. We cannot approve of coercing a confession from the witness. Prosecutor Schubert, the current situation has nothing to do with the earlier speculation. Witness, tell me, in several days, Remedy White's memories will be reset again. Now she's sitting upright in the audience seat, writing down events of this week as usual. Tell me, do you want her to write down your desperate cunning and lying like this? Oh, we are tricking him. This is dirty.
反对。
Mind your words. You are coercing the witness. It is not elegant to make such a noise. The examination of the blood stains involves DNA testing. It will take at least 2 days to take the results. Oh, we are tricking him. This is dirty. Okay, this is a very interesting take then. If the defense insists, we can only request postponement of this trial. What? Wait. Oh my god. Okay, very interesting what the game is going for. We're not playing like, okay. I don't know if she was aware that like maybe we wouldn't find any blood. If she was aware that like there was such a possibility, this is a crazy thing. This is very, very interesting. It's really like the rookie kind of like stopping at nothing to get like a non-guilty verdict, which is like not done like in a very ruthless way, but I think like the prosecution in all the cases has been like way more tactful than the defense and especially Luna. So very, very interesting. It was me. Oh no. Oh my god. Remily, what are you doing? Enough, Miss Lawyer, Mr. Prosecutor, and Master Swordin, please stop arguing. The current situation is largely because of me. I don't want to see you all continue to argue over me. I do understand your feelings, but personal emotions are not considered in court. It's complicated, right? The case must reach a conclusion. Miss White, I actually have some questions to ask you. Now that you voluntarily stepped onto the witness stand, did you hear the defense claims just now? Yes. And what do you think of the defense accusations against the witness? Master Sordin, I don't know, I really don't know anything. Whether treating Master Sordin's wound or the band-aid, I don't remember either of them. Until now, I still can't believe Dr. Crimson was really killed. I only know that everyone in the center has been very kind and taken care of me. And someday I will be cured. And I will be able to use my brain to remember everything, rather than this notebook. Miss White, Master Sordin, among all the people in the center, you have been the kindest to me. And at this moment, I'm willing to believe whatever you say and write it down. I don't care how others see it, but my diary is my memory and my truth. So the person who killed Director Crimson is not you, right? Just for this time, instead of reading my diary, I want to hear it directly from you. It wasn't you. That's enough. Remily, your suffering is the last thing I want to see. It was me. He admitted it. Your Honor, before you have the bailiff arrest me, please give me some time to say a few words. Why does he suddenly sound normal? You have the right to speak in court. Understood. I came to the research center 6 years ago. At the time, I was assigned to take care of a special patient and treat her. It's Remily, right? Yes, she was only 15 years old that year. Her parents were killed in an incident, and she herself was severely injured. She was lying in bed with a ventilator, so helpless, and yet so peaceful. And the moment I saw her, I made a secret vow, that no matter what happens in the future, I would do everything to protect the girl by her side. Hey, I heard you got transferred into an interesting research center. How is it there? Well, nothing special. Well, by the way, I remember you specialize in amnesia, right? Have you ever encountered patients who experience memory loss periodically? Oh, you mean periodic amnesia? It is indeed a troublesome condition. The patient can't be cured nor live a normal life. If I have to interact with such a patient for a long time, do you have any advice? I wish I had more time. You're close to my favorite part in the case. I am sorry, but you have the VOD available to check. But yeah, good luck with work. It was nice to see you here again. Generally, we tend not to make patient immediately aware of their amnesia, but that's not a long-term solution. After all, people around the patient are aging day by day, while they themselves remain the age of memory loss. They would gradually become uneasy and anxious, as if they have been abandoned by the whole world. In severe cases, it may even evolve into an inescapable sense of loneliness. If there's someone who could play the role of her peer day by day and be with her forever, would that make her feel better? Well, of course, but how could such people possibly exist? I understand. Thank you. It's true that I used to be a die-hard fan of martial arts, but that was over a decade ago. So you've been pretending to be the 15-year-old version of yourself to prevent her from feeling lonely. I mean, perhaps reacquainting her again and again, keeping saying those foolish martial arts things. Time flies, and her address for me gradually changed from Mr. Grey to Master Sordin. Everything I've done is worth it, as long as I can truly make her better. But a few days ago, when I accidentally saw that bomb remote control on the director's desk, everything changed. Remily, in fact, Joseph Crimson, the one who adopted you, appeared to be kind and helped you recover your memories. But he was one of the masterminds behind the incident that took your parents' lives 6 years ago. Is that so? I hate to believe it either at the first place, so I went to confront him, but... Director Crimson, why don't you explain it? Could it just be a misunderstanding? What misunderstanding? That my organization couldn't cause a bigger disaster and kill more people in all these years? What did you say? Humans, such lowly creatures, especially the dim-witted ones. I don't care at all whether they survive in this world or not. I heard the explosion 6 years ago was discovered by a criminal police officer in time, significantly reducing casualties. It had been a regret for those 2 lunatics in the organization, but thanks to that, I got such a perfect experimental subject. What are you talking about? About Remily? Oh my, why are you so angry? Do you dare to report me? I know you care about the girl, so I didn't allow you to participate in most of the experiments on her. Who knows what I did her behind your back? If you expose my affairs now, can you bear the consequences? You unforgivable. I originally sought Deputy Director's help. However, after discussing with him, he believed this matter was too significant. Once it's made public, endless disasters would be brought to the center. I must protect Remily. If no one can help me, I'll do it with my 2 hands. As long as that beast is alive, he will commit more heinous acts. Remily's life will also be filled with unease. The following is as you have said.
小白，你的一切痛苦，你本可以是一个生活幸福的普通女孩，和你喜欢的人恋爱，选择你想要的未来。可是这一切都被那个祝平江给毁了。你的幸福，凭什么要被那样一个畜生不如的人给夺走？就算他是机器人领域的奇才，头顶无数学术光环，可他也是个恶魔，是个邪道，他不配。所幸老天有眼，让我及时知道了魔方惨案的真相，也让我知道了他的真面目。我怎能再容忍那样的人继续坦然无忧地活在世上？纵死峡谷香，不惭世上英。谁能输阁下？小白，从你的生命中铲除这个恶人，虽然是我无可推卸的责任，可是这样残忍的事，请你不要记下来。我知道朱平江也给你带去过很多快乐的记忆。你记住那些开心的事就好了。日记里关于我的内容，你只要尽管涂掉，当我未曾存在过便好。
a bit too fast.
不管怎样，事已至此，我不会后悔。这一生只有一次的下课，我当得还像样吗？
不像样啊。 剑侠先生
Damn, she's crazy.
同学姐姐，保护白小姐，行侠仗义。马上就要进监狱的你，要准备怎么去保护她呢？别说保护了，研究所一下失去了你和朱所长2人，那个本来可以治愈白翼灵顽疾的彭祖计划，还能继续下去吗？ 无论你用多么痛心无奈的借口来为自己辩护，犯罪就是犯罪。被行侠仗义的幻想冲昏头脑的时候，你真的想过这会对他造成什么后果吗？你想过，他的日记中会因此充斥多少血腥吗？
That's a good comeback. It's a very interesting way of approaching the topic, which is, to be fair, very close to what you see in like Kindaishi Shonen no Jikenbo, and mostly like the 37 years Kindaishi. You see that like in some like Detective Conan cases, and it's very close like to the. It's such a Shakaiha like thing, and to be fair, that's kind of like one thing I really prefer over Ace Attorney is this humanness, this willingness to tackle those questions that are left a bit too often aside in Ace Attorney. So I'm really pleased to read that right now.
王你和白小姐相处了6年，却连她是个外柔内刚的孩子都不知道。她每过7天，都要重新面对那记忆空缺的6年和双亲的离去。就算她以最快的速度接受身边的人，在经历了短短几天的欢笑时光之后，就要再次抱着对未来的绝望全部归零。但她还是认真的把身边那些值得留念的人和事都记了下来，而且从无怨言。那样的人，内心有多坚强，你能想象得到吗？保护他，保护他，保护他。
Oh, very interesting. This is very, very good.
你说的这么义正言辞，可这样的保护
Oh my god.
这是白小姐想要的吗？
Okay, this is very, 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 very interesting.
反对，足够了，不要太过火了。
The goat though. I do agree with him. There's no need. That's something that you can say to yourself, but you don't have to express it. Because again, that's not the point of like the truth.
反对有效。辩护方，证人已经认罪了，请你适可而止。
对不起，是我失态了。
已经太迟了呀！我已经没有机会去理解小白的意愿了。松狮姑娘，不，应该叫你律师小姐吧。到头来，我不过是一只身披侠客面孔的落水狗罢了。不够坚强的人，其实是我才对。小白，我已经有点失去。
I mean, like, he killed a terrorist, you know? And I think it's kind of like the running theme in all the cases, it's always like this. It's like, the culprits, they're not crazy people. They had like a reason to do it. And that means something to the people around them. It's always like, I needed to save my brother. I needed to save like my family. I needed to save the people that relied on me. So I was pushed into like committing murders. And I really enjoy that the game doesn't really give you a straight answer about how you should feel about that, because it's like the justice cannot be, especially because justice meant as like a punitive tool cannot be just. You have to choose a punishment, and it's so arbitrary that like it doesn't make any sense. And I think this game is kind of like saying that, yeah, the justice right now, our system of punitive justice, it's flawed. It's like, what can we do better? What can you do better after like watching those tales of people committing crimes, or sometimes just being caught in like situations that were above them, that they just didn't understand what happened. And it's like, was Gray right in committing murder? Probably not. At least with regards to Remily. But can you blame him as like a bystander, as a witness? It's like not really, right? I think the only person that could blame Gray would be Remily. I think it's the only person who has the right, the ability to forgive him or not. In one side, he ended up hurting who he meant to protect by committing the murder. On the other, he was so overcome by despair, he saw no other choice. And that's kind of like the point of like crime fiction, right? Detective fiction, and especially the new trend of like social fiction. It's like crime is the last resort. Nobody enjoys killing. It's what you do when you don't have a choice anymore. And how, as a society, should we judge that? And the answer is like, in an ideal world, you wouldn't have to commit those murders, right? In an ideal world, you wouldn't have like someone do scientific experimentation on like a young girl that has amnesia. So it's really like the crime has happened, but it's still time. There's still time to think about like a better society so that it doesn't happen again. Unfortunately, these kind of circumstances are common even outside of crime fiction. Oh yeah, I mean, crime fiction, for me, like, talk about this, and it's a way to like push for, you know, new forms of justice and of equality in society. And I think you will find a lot of the time, it's like every in what we call in Japan like shakaiha, the social school of detective fiction, you will find that the culprits are mostly like people that have been marginalized by society to some extent. So there's a whole trend of like feminist detective fiction in Japan that started in the 70s, but really picked up like in 70s, 80s. And it's about like women committing murders because they just don't have the choice. And it's like, as a detective, what do you do with this? And there's like one very interesting thing in like, if you take like more popular fiction in manga, you have like Kindaishi Shonen no Jikanbo, which is like a very dark manga to some extent, right? Like murders are very gruesome, and things are, when things are happening, you can feel like the weight of reality. And at some point, Kindaishi, so Hajime Kindaishi, the protagonist, is like uncovering the truth behind a murder, but it's like the culprit was really pushed to her limits, and she literally had no other choices than act that way. And it's like, and you as like the reader, you're like, it's society's fault. It's literally society has failed you, and that's why like it was your only outlet left, basically. And there's this question about like, okay, so what we should like argue is that what we should fight for is a society where she doesn't have to commit this murder. And what Kindaishi, there's also like a case where like you have someone going into prison, and then this character is coming back again. It's like there will be a life after you know, prison, and this is not the end. We can think of like a better life, a better society. And I think this is a very important part of like detective fiction, showing that it's sad, it's horrible, it's tragic that those individuals had to like commit those actions, but we do not end things here. I do like that crime fiction makes these kind of questions accessible to everyone. Those are not really questions who were raised by mainstream media, for example, at least here. But in a way, crime fiction makes the contradictions that our punitive systems are built onto and make us think about crimes in a social sense instead of merely personal moral sense. I do agree. I mean, it will depend on genre. Like, I mean, I think you understand that pretty easily, but like I'm very deep into, I love solving puzzles, but like I'm very deep into the social school of detective fiction. For me, detective fiction has to be social. It was social at the very beginning. It has been with Sherlock Holmes, it has been with Hercule Poirot, it has been with everyone. And I don't really agree with like the genre that we call kind of like Shin Honkaku, that is solely built on puzzle, basically. For me, there's no point in solving a mystery just for the puzzle, because I don't think you can understand why people are committing those crimes if, like, again, people are not committing crimes for fun. There has to be a reason. There has to be something that pushes you to that point. And so I do appreciate that nowadays we have a lot more like media that are really talking about those topics, about justice, about crime, about society, about equality, about equity, about how we live together and how we are trying to build a better world. And it's always something that I had some grievances with in Ace Attorney. Again, not the great Ace Attorney, because they are kind of exploring those questions. But the main series is very empty. It's very hollow. Like Ace Attorney 1 to 3, there's literally nothing. 4, you have like this pseudo idea of the dark age of the law, but it means nothing. Really, it's so abstract. And you also have the dark age of the law in like 5 and 6, but again, it's like it says nothing about it. It's such an abstract discourse on corruption that it doesn't make any sense. And I think like, yeah, you need like to have a camera that is closer to the characters. Like again, I've done this recommendation a lot on the stream, but if you are a crime fiction or detective fiction enjoyer, I will, let me type that in the chat. I will recommend you to read like Keigo Higashino, that is kind of like at this forefront of like the, you know, Japan detective fiction scene nowadays, and he's blending like very deep puzzles with like a very sharp social lens. And when you read Keigo Higashino, it's very interesting because like nothing is you don't like try to seek the culprit. Like the culprit will be pretty, you know, self-evident at the beginning of the case, like in the first few pages, either because like it's literally like spelled out explicitly, or because it's very obvious. And the question is more like, how do we reach that? How do we reach that point where you create like a crazy stratagem to kill someone? So you have a puzzle aspect, and like if you want to think, it's mostly about the puzzle aspect, but then you have like the social anguish. And in different like interviews, like Keigo Higashino said that he wanted to talk about the anguish of living in Japanese society, in a society with so many codes and rules, where individuals cannot be who they want to be. And it's exploring this kind of like deep-rooted frustration by evolving in a restrictive environment. So a very, very good writer. It's just that good. So if you'd seek like a recommendation from him, I would say The Devotion of Suspect X is probably the best way to get into that. It's amazing. This is an amazing book. The writing is pretty simple, but like the resolution, the stratagem is absolutely insane. This is like one of the best and most simple stratagem that I have read in my entire life. And I still believe that it's crazy. It's one of the best. And then you have the social discourse that is like so interesting. So that would be my recommendation. And then you can like try to read the rest of like Detective Galileo, Galileo Tante. A lot of them have been translated in English. So it's a pretty good way of getting into that. Unfortunately, I do personally believe that the English translation is not that good. I think like the French translation is better. But it's still very good, story-wise. I am translating, by the way. I've told that like on stream, but I'm translating in French like the short stories, like his first short story collection that has not been translated in any language. So it's pretty nice. I've been studying Japanese so I can read stuff on the original language. Okay, so if you know Japanese, then you can. Okay, I would say if you're like N3, you could read. If you're N3, you could read, but like if you're reading like the novels, just read like the English translation. Maybe it has been translated in like Portuguese, so you may want to check that as well. I know that he's very popular, so he has been translated in lots of different languages. The novels, it will be pretty easy to find. I think Devotion of Suspect X, it's his most famous book, so it would be the most accessible. But yeah, the short stories though, they are only in Japanese. It's not that hard. Keiko Higashino has a pretty straightforward like prose. I don't have like too much difficulty translating. Again, I would say if you're N3, you could probably read it with like a dictionary like on the side to get like all the, you know, scientific vocabulary, because like Galileo is like so that's a detective, but he is also like a physics professor, teacher. So you have a lot of, you know, scientific, sometimes stratagem and stuff. So you need like a dictionary, but the grammar is pretty simple at the very least. If you're not N3, if you're still like N2, I would say like it may still be like hard to read, unfortunately. But yeah, it sounds fun at the very least. I think it's my favorite mystery writer lately, like by far, by very, very far, because it's just that good. Like I've read like a few things, not read everything. Like my best friend has read more than I'm just slacking off, and everything is so good. There's no bad case. There's no bad book. It's just very interesting. It talks about like so many different topics about like what it is to be a woman in Japan, what it is to be to put off like this social mask with other people. It talks about abortion. It talks about like healthcare. It talks about a lot about feminism, to be honest. So that's really, really, really good. And I think we have similar tastes from the discussions that we had. And I think you would enjoy like Keiko Higashino. Joseph Crimson may be a vicious criminal involved in various crimes, but even so, it's absolutely unacceptable to take his life without legitimate arrest or trial. I mean, we are against like, you know, death sentence, but like Prosecutor Schubert, where is Sword in Grey? The prosecution has notified the bailiffs of an emergency arrest. I see. Although the case has gone through many twists and turns, the truth has come to light at the very last moment. Are there any objections from the defense or prosecution? No. And no. Then the court hereby pronounces the defendant, Zoe Sapphire, not guilty. And there it is. A case well solved. This lengthy case is over, but for some reason I feel a bit empty inside. Miss Lawyer, Annie! Miss Sapphire, congratulations! I gotta say too, I really like the attitude of the prosecutor. Yeah, I thought he would be like a brat. He is not. He is like very thoughtful. He's like very like people focused. He doesn't. I love that compared to Ace Attorney. I love this idea of having prosecutors that do understand what justice is, and that sometimes you don't push people. You don't have to push people. You don't have to spill people's secrets. And they're like, don't go too far. I really love that. I really, really love that. I think Silas was like, yeah, a bit like iffy on me at the beginning, but like the more I see him, the more I'm like, you may be like my goat, to be honest. And I also like the judge being like very thoughtful as well. You know, not the smartest in the room, but still like pretty smart. And he's able to like, he sees the truth. And I think like, it feels so good to have like a game where everyone is trying to go towards the truth in a very heartfelt manner. I think Luna, because she's like very young still and very new to like this job, she's still very, I don't know, a bit too aggressive. Not aggressive, but let's say she is lacking a bit of tact, but like the heart is in the right place. And it's really good. It's such like, I don't know, it's so fresh to have like this kind of take in detective game. Like I would say, you know, when I started the game, I was like, oh, this is really the type of game you play because like you need some Ace Attorney in your life. You know, it has been like almost 10 years since the last Ace Attorney title. So you're craving for some Ace Attorney, and this game is like a good fix. But probably if there's another Ace Attorney game, nobody would think about this game at all. And the more we progress, the more I'm like, this is wrong. This game can stand on its own 2 feet because the social discourse is really, really, really good. And it's making me very happy. So I know that like the team right now is in a bit of a difficult situation, but I really, really hope that they do another game like this. That this is just like, you know, a first try. Maybe they can try to get like some more budget to have some polish, both for, you know, the UI and for the translation. Maybe they can think about like a mechanic that is really their own and not like an imitation of the Magatama or, you know, the Truth Bracelet or something. If they can find something like this is a crazy IP to have, and they should continue to work on that. This is my first contact with the game. I had never heard of it before, but from the few I've seen it, the writing is very nice. Yeah, the translation is just like a bit, you know, complicated because it has been finished very quickly, but like writing-wise, I think it's pretty good. There are some things I would have changed, but overall, I'm really, really happy with the game. It is not, I must say, it's not available right now because the game has been delisted on Steam for reasons we don't exactly know why, but the team is working right now to work on, you know, putting the game back on Steam. So hopefully it will be available, you know, in the coming months or something like that. And I think really people should play like this game because it's good. If you enjoy Ace Attorney, if you enjoy like detective fiction, it's a good pick. And I'm really, really happy to say that because I'm normally very picky when it comes to like detective games. I'm expecting like great things, and I'm really hard to please. And me saying good things, it's making me so happy to be happy with this game. Thanks to Miss Lawyer's persistence, I can see the sky outside again. By the way, your final speech was truly impressive. Is that so? Thank you. But Annie is right. To be honest, I'm not happy at all. I didn't mean it. Please don't take it seriously. I'm truly happy to receive a not guilty verdict, but Remily, she took everyone in the center as family, and now it has turned out like that. What will her future be like? Don't worry, Miss White is so resilient. I'm sure she will be fine. Okay, I've made up my mind. What have you decided? I will take over the work of that martial arts weirdo and assist the deputy director. In the near future, I will cure Remily. Absolute cinema. Are you sure you can handle such a complicated matter? What do you mean? I'm a neuroscience PhD after all. Well, I completely forgot about that. I only remember her as an unreliable intern who breaks things every day. Can you stop saying your thoughts out loud? No matter what, I think Miss Sapphire is amazing. You could definitely make it. Thank you, Annie. Trust me, there won't be any problem. I hope you can at least change your carefree personality. With such determination, Zoe might succeed one day. Mr. Goldstein. Mr. Goldstein. Hello. Please forgive me for being so offensive in the courtroom earlier. With a scientific and rigorous attitude, you have a right to doubt each of us. Even if you accuse me of murdering, I have no complaints. I mean, if you were falsely accused, you better have some complaints. No matter what, I'll also share part of responsibility for the incident. I always thought it's better to mind our own business, so I turned a blind eye to the link between the director and Sky Shield. Okay, character development arc, I like that. Reflecting now, if I had managed to calm Sordin and sought help from the police, maybe this tragedy could have been avoided. You don't have to blame yourself excessively. After all, things have happened. Although hiding evidence is unacceptable, I can understand your intentions. I attempted to conceal the truth and caused you a lot of trouble. Please allow me to apologize for it. And I thought he was the culprit last session. But there's one thing I still don't understand. The director possesses greater intellect and status than all of us. Why on earth would he join such a chilling criminal organization? Well, I already know about the director's connection to Sky Shield, but when it comes to his reasons for working with them, I truly have no clues. Although I don't quite understand, I have heard stories about intelligent people wanting to conquer the world with their brains. Conquer the world? That sounds scary, but it's really that guy's thing. But what exactly does it mean to conquer the world? Can you define it precisely? And here we go again. Well, Mr. Goldstein, what will happen to the research center with this case being over? Well, someone should take over the director's position, then we'll reorganize our work and continue our research. Shouldn't you take over Mr. Crimson's position? According to common sense, it does seem like that. Oh no, I never thought I'd be director. What should I do? Never thought about that. He's truly a dedicated assistant. I mean, I do understand the idea of preferring being an assistant instead of like the person, you know, in the spotlight. I tend to be like this a little bit, which is very weird saying that as, you know, a streamer, but... Wow! I won't be scared by you anymore. Miss Cyan, you didn't get me either. You get it. We are probably the same. I failed. The sound of tracks gave away my presence. Unhappy, super unhappy. I've become accustomed to her, how pitiful. Alright, let's get down to business. Miss Ray, I really have to thank you for today. I can finally breathe a sigh of relief. No need to thank me, I was just doing my job. And hearing you use the word breathe, it felt kind of strange. Although being manipulated by the murderer to some extent, I may not be dismantled now that the truth is revealed. Dismantled? Why would you think that way? Well, actually, I've been worried ever since I saw the director's body. What if someone threw me into the director and smashed him to death? No one could come up with such a bizarre idea except you. Miss Cyan, you don't have to worry. With the 3 laws of robotics, you're the least suspicious in the center. You're right. Annie really knows how to talk. Even if I were to be shattered, I would never harm anyone. Well, for some reason, Annie's words sounds a bit ironic, though she doesn't mean it. In the end, is a robot bound by the 3 laws more trustworthy than a flesh and blood human? Although I always dislike the director, I feel a bit sad about his death, and that martial arts enthusiast is really foolish. Why did he have to kill? I don't know about the law. What will be the consequence of his crime? If the director Crimson is proven to be a criminal and have threatened Remilly's White's life, there might still be some room for sentencing, though Mr. Gray's crime of intentional murder cannot be accepted. I see. Well, by the time that guy comes out, my legs should have been fixed, and then I can walk to the prison and pick him up. A very interesting take on rehabilitation. This is a Chinese game. It's not, you know, they are talking about like, yeah, he will just get some, you know, prison sentence and then he will get out, which is very interesting because like this is not what is happening in China right now, right? So that's what you're concerned about. But I still can't believe he left Remilly behind like that. Forget it. Remilly is over there. I'll go over and comfort her. Everyone is very cute. Well, the one that was hurt the most in this case was Remilly. Come on, once you're done with a statement with that female detective, let's go shopping. I'd love to, but is it okay for you to go out? It doesn't matter. I can't wait to scare everyone away. It would be like we make an exclusive booking. Mr. Goldstein? I have an arrangement for tonight, to be precise, an experiment. Oh, come on, forget about the experiment. Both of you listen to me today. Cyan, don't pull me. I will go on my own. Sis Luna, they're leaving. Shall we go to say goodbye to Miss White? I still don't know how to face her right now. It's better not to meet her for the time being. Looking from a distance, although the 3 of them are talking in loathing, the bitterness on Remilly's face is evident. Did I do the right thing? Should I ever have revealed all the truth in court? I wonder what Chief would think of it. Your gloomy appearance is like a violin with loose strings. I've always heard you were a proud and bold girl. What happened to you today? This voice? Prosecutor Schubert. Huh? You won the trial today, but why do you look like a loser? You worry about Remily White. She is not a fragile girl. Why do you say that? Although she will forget everything in a few days, you chose to show her the truth. Because deep down you truly believe it's for her own good, don't you? Make your decisions and don't regret. Thank you. I didn't expect this guy to have a considerate side. I already have contacted Detective Sanford. She's gathering evidence in the center. Joseph Crimson has been confirmed as the 4th head of Sky Shield Quadrant. Are you sure? Although he didn't directly participate in the terrorist attacks against civilians, his danger was significant. Under the guise of research, he took foreign funds and often supplied the organization with advanced equipment, even weapons. If the so-called Phoenix projects were to be carried out, who knows what the consequence would be. Though coincidental, his death did help the police solve a big problem. Wait, if his research was all for Sky Shield, what about the ultra-realistic robots? If robots that can disguise themselves as human are misused, they would become the most terrifying weapons. Is it because they can carry various dangerous items and blend into crowds without being detected? Well, perhaps. Fortunately, San is only a half-human. That's why she wasn't sent to carry out any dangerous missions. Is that so? Well, then she is fortunate in a way. Well, I've said what I needed to say. See you later. I haven't said goodbye. This guy really does as he pleases. Wait, did he say something strange? Please wait a moment, Prosecutor Schubert. What? You said earlier I've always heard you were a proud and bold girl, right? I've returned to the country for less than a year and haven't handled many cases. I'm not famous at all. How did you hear about me? Well, my father is Thor Schubert. What? There's no need to be so surprised. Well, I'm leaving now. I see. Toth Schubert, one of the victims in incident number 761, 5 years ago. He was also someone who helped me a lot. No wonder Prosecutor Schubert insisted on taking this case, most likely because he heard Sky Shield was involved. Perhaps we share the same goal. Unfortunately, there's hardly any connection between this case and incident number 761. In the end, it was just a waste of effort. Luna Yeye, what are you thinking now? Nothing. It's getting late. Let's head back to the office. It's my first case that I won on my own. We should celebrate tonight. Ah, great. I love celebrating. I tend to love celebrating more than I did before. After leaving the court, I reported the details of the case to Chief online. Unexpectedly, he didn't make any comment and only said, if you think it's right, then it is. When we returned to the office, 2 unexpected figures appeared at the door. Detective Sanford? Yeah. What brings you here? I'm here not by choice, sweetie. I just submitted the case report, and now I have to take the evidence to the police station. I wanted to drop this girl off on my way back, but she insisted on seeing you before going home. This girl is... Hey, come over here. Be quick. I'm running out of time, sweetheart. Hi, Miss Lawyer. Miss White, why are you here? I'm taking a quick bathroom break. Luna's speech to Gray is my favorite part of the case. Yeah, I think it's really an interesting speech. I don't agree with everything she said, or mostly like the way she said it, but like very, very interesting. Again, kind of like similar to what you find in Detective Conan nowadays, in Kindaishi, but like it's good to have characters that, you know, put other people before them. They see like that society is like a web of people and not just some abstract, you know, data. So it was very nice. I really enjoyed the end of the case. I think it was very, very well handled, message-wise. I want to ask you something. Let me prepare some refreshments. Don't bother, I'll be heading home after finishing my questions. She means the research center. Miss White, go ahead, please. Well, Miss Lawyer, when I said in court that I would believe anything Master Sordin said, I was serious. But he told me not to write down what he said. He wants me to forget about him and everything that happened this week. He did. Although I lectured him in court, his words are reasonable. The truth is too cruel for Miss White. I do think she 100% has like a point in not letting White, Remily making the choice. I just would have been a bit more tactful if I was in Luna's place. But I completely agree with like the substance of like the speech. I think it's always like this. It's like there's something futile about revenge, and especially if you do the revenge for someone else, because like in some sense, like nobody asked you to do so. As much as you believe that it's like the right course of action, and there can be like so many things that are telling you that it's the best thing. It's not your call, right? It's just not your call. Because it's not that you're making her an accomplice, but you're making her carry the weight of you committing the crime when you are someone that she cares about. I observed your defense from beginning to end. She's an extremely passionate character, and I appreciate that. I think it's like she is bold in such a good way. Like way better than Phoenix was in the first Ace Attorney. She is like, she wants to help people, and she's not afraid to tell things that are going in that way. I think she needs to mature a little bit, and it will probably come after like the next cases. But like, I think probably Luna is like, if you need a lawyer, and I don't mean like, in game, but like if you need a lawyer in real life, this is probably the type of lawyer that you want. You face countless dilemmas, but you always made the right choices. I don't have the courage and wisdom like you. You praise me too much. Please don't deny it. I want to ask you about today's matter. Let the truth go or write it down. What should I do? Can we choose? If you ask me, probably we cannot choose because Luna has her own opinion. I'm guessing Luna will ask her to write. People cannot selectively retain memories, but she can. I wonder if it's fortunate or not. What choice should she make? Perhaps I already have an answer when I conclude the case. Listen to me. Oh, we can choose. Is it changing anything? Is it changing anything, or like should I be careful when choosing that? Like, my take is that, like, obviously you should decide by yourself. But, like, she comes here for, like, an advice. Like, she needs some, like, pointers. So you can still give your opinion, I think. I would say you should record the truth. You need to understand that, like, despite everything, Sordin committing the crime was also, like, out of love. And this is something that you should keep with you. This is imperfect, but when he will get out of jail, it doesn't impact anything, okay? When he will get out of jail, then you'll build something new, and then you will be happy. There's no need to... I personally do not see the point in just keeping the happy memories. You should record the truth. Because it doesn't change the way you will see Sordin. If you believe that Sordin did that out of love, of genuine love and care, then you will just build something like anew afterwards and try to be better in the future. And that's what matters really. Is that so? Is he left-handed? What? What's the... What does that mean? But that's the truth. Even if you can erase your memories, what have happened cannot be avoided. Translation error, perhaps. I think it's a translation error. I mean... I don't exactly... Like, you know, like left-handed, it's like always a demon, something like that. So maybe it's, you know, I don't know. Or is this a twist? Is this like a crazy twist? Like, I'll let like memory explain. I don't know. It was a mistake, okay. Because it's so funny, like it's a mistake, but it's in red, and so it feels like very... Oh, what's the symbolism behind it? But because Luna did not react to that, I'm expecting this to be like that it was a mistake. Every time you wake up without memory, seeing such a sad story in your own diary, it must be extremely painful. But if you feel strong enough, face it head on. Yeah, I think it's like something like that he committed a crime, right? Something like this. Is that so? That he committed a crime? I know this may not be the outcome you desired. Oh, I love that. If you feel strong enough, face it head on. +2. Yeah, remember that there was a man who made a grave mistake. But he remains a great swordsman who spared no effort to care for you and protect you. I haven't asked yet about it in translation yet. Okay, I see. It might be that good. It might... Oh, this is so good. This is so good. This is so good. This is what, you know, rehabilitative justice is about. He is a good person. There's no mistake there. But he just made a mistake. He just made a mistake. But he is genuinely a good person, and that's what matters. The left-handed thing showed up on my choice as well. Huh, in the choice. Interesting. So maybe here, like, that was maybe the left-handed thing, no? That he... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I understand. Miss Lawyer, thank you. You're welcome. If there is a chance, feel free to visit our office again. Or you should decide for yourself. Oh, interesting. Well, I just don't know then. I just don't know. I don't speak Mandarin, unfortunately, so I'm not attuned if, you know, whether it's an expression like in Chinese with like left hand. I don't know. Okay, then You've been talking for so long, I'm almost falling asleep. Sorry for keeping you waiting, Detective Sandford. Uh-oh. Got copy-pasted from Electronic Noise. Is it the remote control? It's a company you don't star. Uh-oh. Did I mishear something? There seems to be a strange sound from Detective Sandford's bag. Eh? Oh my god. So this is the communication with like Sky Shield. It is a badge from the heads of Sky Shield. Is the one belonging to the director. Can you tell me where there is the research center, the morgue, or perhaps the prison? The badge can talk? Who are you? Why do I only hear woman voice around me? Well, I can't guess where it is then. Anyway, that scientific monster deaths was so tragic. How wonderful. Are there any police officers or prosecutor nearby? Come over here and listen. Are you Callens? Why, you show yourself. What? Callens is the codename of the leader of Sky Shield. After my sincere conversation with Miss White, I thought this case would finally come to an end. Although the ending may not be perfect, it was at least heartwarming. However, the sudden crazy ramblings from the badge pulled me back into a cold and cruel reality. What I heard next completely shattered the tranquility of our law office. Our law office should have enjoyed. That old monster finally died. No one can stop me anymore. Sky Shield's revenge begins. Interesting. Interesting. We'll do case 4 at some point. So you told me I should not begin case 4 because there's something like a bit crazy. So I should try to use like a sort, make like a thumbnail with that. What is this face, by the way? If you are not the culprit, I don't know what to say. You are very cute. You are very cute. You are afraid. So we play like Luna again, right? And I'm expecting that, like in last case, it's like we play both like Luna and Charlie. Okay, it was good. It was good. Like the conclusion of the case, I think it was pretty straightforward in terms of like the stratagem. I think even during the investigation, we had the good idea of like what happened. It was just like pinpointing Swordin as the culprit. Theming-wise, message-wise, I think the game is still doing like an excellent job. I really love this this way of like showing society in a more nuanced lens. So yeah, that was very good. I don't exactly know when we'll start like chapter 4. Because I'm expecting it to be the same length, right? It will be like 4 sessions of 3 or 4 hours. So can I do this before like the 2.0 model? I don't know. Speaking of the 2.0 model, again, like I saw like the final render of the 2.0. I don't think I can show it on stream. I need to ask like if I can show the final render. At least a part of it. Yeah, it has been a pleasure as always continuing this game. It's always so pleasant. I wish the team would have like more money at some point to make like a game with like a way better finish, and it can really be like incredible. So that's basically it for today. Next week, because of the heat wave, as I said at the beginning, we are not streaming on Monday, but we'll probably stream on Wednesday and Friday. I don't know exactly what we'll do, but yeah, that should be it. So I don't have any more yap in me, sorry. So thank you very much for tuning in today. I'm glad to have seen you here. Also, while I'm thinking about it, I need to ask also my artist about like the expected delivery for my model, but we talked about like doing movie night or movie something, so maybe we'll plan that in the Discord. I'll try to think during the weekend. Maybe we'll watch like Mooming at some point, like at the end of the month. We need to plan that, so stay tuned for that in the Discord, I guess. Anyway, thank you very much for coming, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.